What's good, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Irish Breakdown podcast brought to you by FanDuel. I am Vince D'Addario. That is Sean Davis, and we are eagerly awaiting the arrival of Brian Driscoll. He is fighting the good fight, trying to, get through traffic on the way home from Notre Dame Stadium, and then he'll jump in with us as well. Sean, we are talking about Notre Dame's third victory in a row, third victory of the year, 28-7. Over Boise State. A lot to talk about here in this game. It's a funny game. I mean, football's a funny game in general, but this was a funny game for Notre Dame because, look, 28-7, they covered, right? I mean, if you're a betting man, they covered by half a point. So, you're happy if that's the case because I believe it was 20.5. So you're happy that they covered. The manner in which they covered was kind of an interesting scenario. Like I should not have the feelings that I was feeling as Boise State is driving down the field in the fourth quarter. Notre Dame's up by 3 touchdowns, and yet I'm still nervous as Boise State's driving. And I don't know why. There was no way they were going to come back and win this game. But it just felt a little icky for me personally, towards the end of the game there. But yeah, kind of an up and down game. If you're a Notre Dame fan, a lot of things, if they, kind of tweak one way or the other, this is a completely different score. Offense did their thing, defense did their thing, and yet they only gave up 7 points. So it's like this is just a weird game, Sean. So your first initial feelings about this game, coming into this thing, and we'll kind of go from there. What are your thoughts, man?
In a weird way, Vince, this game went exactly the way I predicted it would go all week. I felt like this would be like the stinker. This would be the game where they would have to be sound and they would have to have a really good defensive effort. I actually said on the show with Trevor, this is going to be their best defensive effort of the year. I really felt that because I felt like Boise State was the right team and test to challenge them to be able to do that. And they did exactly that. Going up against a team like Boise State, they're going to force you to be disciplined. Right. And they were uncharacteristically undisciplined with penalties, turnovers, everything they did. So but I think a lot of that can be attributed to Notre Dame's aggression in the way they played defensively. And like you said, if 2 scores off the board on lack of execution on fourth downs, that's another 14 points. This game could have been out of reach early in the third quarter if Notre Dame had played a better game. So for me, this was that stinker that I felt like, or that weird type of game that I felt like was going to exist in that 4-game stretch that started last week with Arkansas and ends with USC. I felt like this one, for that particular reason, would be the toughest one of the 4 because Boise State just poses their playing style. You knew they were going to limit possessions. You knew they were going to be really well prepared. And so that's what Notre Dame went up against this week. And I think they passed the test. The offense left points on the field, didn't execute. CJ Carr wasn't exactly at his best.
Right.
And, they'll continue, to grow. Marcus Freeman, like you said after the game, defense. Going back to what you said, Vince, because you hit on something, because I agree. I had the same feeling. And I had that feeling in the fourth quarter on multiple drives that Boise State was entering Notre Dame territory because I didn't want to lose the feeling that Notre Dame had a good game defensively. I didn't want it to be marred by a late touchdown, right? Especially a late big touchdown or a big throw or busted coverage or something like that. But Notre Dame just, even when they got into Notre Dame territory, they were relentless. They kept coming after them. And you know what has really happened the last 2 weeks, Vince? Your players have made plays. You know how this is, whether it's baseball, basketball, football. As a coach, you can make a terrible play. And if you just have a dude on your team that hits a shot or steals a base or makes a great catch in the outfield or hits a home run or hits a shot from 27 feet with a hand in his face, falling back, players just make you look good as a coach. And these players are starting to make Chris Ash's system and his decisions look a whole lot better. I'm still seeing 300-pounders dropping covers, Vince. So that right there has to disappear. I just don't understand the purpose when you have all the linebackers you have that you can get creative with on the field, why you would have someone 300 pounds dropping into coverage. That still needs to be explained to me. We have people third and long, and we're giving 13 yards away. Here, we're going to be 13 yards off the ball with our linebackers. Take the 13 yards, make it 3rd and 7. Like, those things are still there. But I agree with you. I had that similar feeling, Vince. Like, man, don't ruin this performance. You guys have been fantastic today. Don't allow this ending to ruin and take the momentum from what you have built defensively. And they didn't do that. They didn't do that.
And I think that's an important piece of this whole thing too, Sean, because, it was kind of an ugly game. The flow, neither team really ever got into a flow, whether offensively or defensively, or, it was a tough game to get into flow. A lot of that had to do with officiating because there was a lot of stoppage of plays. And I mean, there was 24 penalties called for 224 yards. We are going to talk about officiating. It's not, we're not playing the blame game or anything else, but when there's a game like this where there's 24 flags more than that because there were penalties that were declined, by the way. But when there are 24 enforced penalties for over 200 yards, we have to talk about it, right? I mean, it's just bottom line. I was looking in the notes, and I'm sure it's in there someplace where the officials are from. My guess is they're from the Mountain West. Usually the visiting team brings officials from their conference, but I don't know the answer to that officially. Some people were saying ACC. That's not usually the case. It's usually the visiting team that brings the officials. But either way, it doesn't matter. The officials were not good today, and we can dive into that a little bit later. But because of the officiating, or one of the reasons, and I think one of the reasons is the officiating. Notre Dame's offense never really got into a rhythm. CJ Carr had an off day. We've talked about that. I think that was bound to happen at some point. I mean, he's been really, really good for 4 games. He was good today. He wasn't really good, right? And he looked human today. Missed some open throws, missed a couple touchdowns probably. Had 189 yards passing, which is, below his standard, below the standard that we put on him at this point as a redshirt freshman at Notre Dame. But they never really got into rhythm. Jeremiah Love got his on the ground. Jadarian Price got his on the ground. They both got into the end zone. Those are all things that's like death, taxes, and those 2 guys getting into the end zone. Yep, that happened. We knew that was going to happen, right? But, the passing game looked okay, but there were some misses, and again, they just never really got into a rhythm. And I think a lot of that has to do with the officiating. I really do. And the slight off day for CJ Carr. So offensively, it was kind of an day, but even on a day, they still put up 389 yards of total offense and had 200 yards on the ground, and it was 200 yards even, by the way, when it was all said and done, because they had a couple of kneel downs at the end. They were over 200, and then, you had a couple team rushes there at the end. But, it's almost a 400-yard offensive day, and you can't really complain about that. Again, not smooth, but not great. And then defensively, you can say bend, don't break, I suppose. They allow 1 touchdown, which, was, the actual play that scored the touchdown was the wide open naked boot, that nobody saw the quarterback coming around the edge. Okay, they gave up 1 touchdown. If you told me that Boise State was going to score 1 touchdown, I'd be like, man, the defense must have played really, really well. They didn't play poorly, right? They had, 4 turnovers, I think it was what it was when it was all said and done. They had their hands on a couple of other ones that they weren't able to pull down. They caused a couple of fumbles. I mean, they played opportunistic defense, but there's still a lot to be desired when it comes to defense because we're spoiled, Sean. As Notre Dame fans, as Notre Dame analysts, we are spoiled when it comes to defense, man. Like, I expect more. And I think we all expect more. And, the defense at this point, I think they are getting better each game. And yes, it's a group of 5 team. Yes, all of those things. But at the same time, it is Boise State too. And they made a real, concerted effort on the broadcast to talk about the sustained success, that Boise has had, and all these, and they're right. I mean, they have had a lot of sustained success when you think of upstart, power, or I mean, excuse me, group of 5, group of 6, whatever, how many conferences there are now. When you think of those kinds of teams, you think of Boise State, right? I mean, you think of what they've done in the playoff, what they've done, or to get to the playoff, what they've done in the BCS era, what they are a sustained program. And so it can't be both ways. You can't be like, well, Boise State is this great group of 5 team, but then, well, it was just Boise State that you beat. Like, you can't really have it both ways, right? So Notre Dame did what they were supposed to do. They covered. They got enough offense to get 4 touchdowns, and they got the job done, and the defense only gave up 7. So it's just a weird feeling coming out of this one for me still. And we'll dive into this one a little bit more, but just overall, just kind of a weird feeling about this game. But at the end of the day, Notre Dame's over 500 for the first time this year. They got 3 in a row. They, have a bunch more to go, obviously. And if this is Notre Dame's kind of dip, if this is their valley, right, during this 10-game stretch where they need to win all their games if they want to be in the playoff and all of those, or have a chance to be in the playoff, if this is their dip, okay. I mean, I can explain this one away, you know what I mean? But there's obviously, if you're a coach and you pop in the film, tomorrow and tonight, or, when you get your teams in their rooms and you're going over the film and everything, plenty of room for improvement on both sides of the football, Sean.
And, a poorly officiated game. I think that's fair to say. Poorly officiated game.
Very fair.
And I would say on both sides. There were calls on both sides. They were just like, that's a horrible call. I don't know what the officials, their spotting of balls today was they were just guessing.
Yes.
Like, because Notre Dame should have challenged. They definitely should have challenged that 4th down play. Because, if you look down the line, the ball never got to where the mark was. And they let Boise State continue on. But I felt like this would be a weird type of game. I just did, Vince. And I said it all week. I said it was going to test Notre Dame in different ways, that they needed to be tested, because I felt like the other 3 teams in this 4-game gauntlet are very similar. They have to outscore you. That's it. Their defenses are awful. They're undisciplined, and they have to outscore you. And Boise State was going to pose a different challenge, a different play style. You talked about rhythm. I'll say 2 things happened. I don't know. I love the fact that they were in tempo in the early possessions. I thought it aided and assisted. And then I think the air went out of the building when Jeremiah Love was on the ground. It was almost like it took them like another series to kind of, like, the entire team was kind of in shock. And then it took them a series to get back to, okay, let's go ahead and start moving the ball. So I think those are 2 things that kind of like interrupted the early rhythm that they did have offensively, even though they only came away with 6 points when they really had 2 drives where they dominated. Notre Dame dominated the game early.
Yes,
and
they
probably
did.
Should have been up 20 to 24 points.
The fact that it was 6-0 was made that game feel icky. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's a big analyst word, right? Like, it felt icky because they were dominating on the field and they only had 6 points to show for it. Yeah. And I agree with you completely. I didn't feel good at that point at all.
Yeah. I just felt like those 2 things, right? Like, they got away from the tempo, and penalties, of course, mixed with bad officiating, and then Boise just being Boise, right? Boy, they force you. We're not about to allow you or give points to you and give possessions to you, give big plays to you. You're going to have to earn it. And they made Notre Dame earn it. Notre Dame earned a 21-point victory. They earned this defensive effort.
Agreed.
They earned it, right? That's something defensively. I think they got the growth. We see Boubacar Traore. He looks, better with each game. More spry with each game. Quicker with each game. Jordan Botelho has been quietly really solid. He really has. He's been really solid, right? Bryce Young got some pressures today. Gabriel Rubio continues to flash in the middle of that defensive line, right? Boise State had to run the ball today. I think they averaged something like, it took them 32 carries. I don't know if they even got over 100 yards. 34 carries right at 100. 34 carries right at 100. And that last scramble by Maddox Matson took it over 100. So they averaged 2.9 yards per carry. That right there, they made Boise State one-dimensional.
Can't be upset with that number. Cannot be
and
upset
I thought,
with that number.
I'm sure we'll all get to this. I thought they did an incredible job of getting upfield and anticipating the waggle play action stuff that Boise State was trying to run to get to the outside and kind of get away from pressure. It was always somebody on the edge coming into the face of Maddox Matson consistently. And I love that. It was a very sound and disciplined performance as a team. And, we could talk about the offense. We could talk about some penalties. I don't know what you expect Jason Onye to do on that play.
Seriously.
I don't know. What? He's 300 pounds. Is he supposed to, change the trajectory of his body in midair?
Well, and he didn't like drive him into the ground. He had his hands like this and then rolled off. I don't know what else you're supposed to do. And he was in mid-throw. It's not like he had time to air brake it. Some of those calls, man, were so ticky-tack. I mean, just so ticky-tack. And and listen to the announcement. Hey, yep, that call was good. That was a good call. And then you bring in the head official or whatever, the analyst, and he's like, yeah, that's calling a little close, because he's like, I'd have never called that,
right.
What are we doing, man? Like that.
What was that? The pass interference, the offensive pass interference on Eli's, really? And they gave us one back on the OPI on Christian Gray.
Yeah.
But it was just like this is, what's amazing to me, Vince? You have crews, right? In certain crews and other sports, this crew is going to call it tight.
Sure.
This crew is going to let them play. This crew today, it was just individually. One guy was letting them play. The other guy, the back judge, was calling everything. And it's what is going on?
Yeah.
What is this? It was just no consistency even within the crew collectively. You don't know what type of crew they were. And
Correct.
So that's what made it a sporadic, non-rhythmic, just slow, kind of not entertaining football game.
Correct.
Right? It was just sputtered.
It's sputtered. Yeah.
Blah. And just for Notre Dame, we said this. Can Notre Dame win a game when the offense doesn't play well? That was answered today.
Yeah.
That was answered today, right? We talked about this would be the team from a ranking standpoint. That's the highest ranked defense that they're going to face moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And there's certain things that they would force Notre Dame to do offensively. So I think Notre Dame was shown today we're not as good as we think we are because we're really not as disciplined as we need to be, because we went up against a team that's going to force us to be methodical and disciplined in everything that we do. And we left points on the board or on the field because we couldn't be disciplined. It's not that we couldn't dominate them and move the ball at will. We can do that. But we weren't disciplined enough against a team that was going to force us to be disciplined to be able to go out and consistently execute so we can continue putting 40, 50 points on the board. It was possible, but we didn't do it. So that gives the offense something, or kind of, lets them know we're really not as good as we thought we were coming off Purdue and Arkansas, because we have to work on this, because we're going to see possibly another team that's going to have the ability or the system, the way they play, to make us be disciplined. They won't see that the next 2 weeks.
Right.
They won't see that.
Yep. And that's okay. I'm okay with that little bit of a wake-up call, because you're talking about a wake-up call after a win. And you're talking about a wake-up call after a win by 3 scores. You know what I mean? So, like, those are, we talk about it all the time. It's so much easier to kind of go back and analyze and fix and all of those things when you're coming off of a win. And Notre Dame, despite the fact that they had 12 penalties for 112 yards or whatever it ended up being, like, despite all of that, they still did what they had to do to win the game. And they won the game at the line of scrimmage. They were able to run the ball when they wanted to run the ball. They were able to throw the ball when they wanted to throw the ball. I mean, they offensively, they did what they wanted to do. They didn't, the issue was they didn't always execute. And for the, I hate it when the coach, when coaches, we just need to execute better. We just need to, well, today that's kind of legit. Like, they do need to execute a little bit better. It wasn't really the play calling. Now, I'm still not a huge fan of the Wildcat, and there's some things that we can pick apart. You know, okay, so I'll put that out. We'll talk offense, but, like, Sean, they never run that again. It'll be too soon. But I'm not putting this on play calling. I'm not, like, that's not the issue. They do need to execute a little bit better. CJ Carr needs to put a little bit more air under the ball, and they're, running in for a touchdown easily on that 4th down. Like, that was a great play call. He's wide open, Jeremiah Love needs to bounce that 4th down Wildcat, needs to bounce that outside, and he's probably walking into the end zone. You know what I mean?
But you know why he didn't bounce it outside? He didn't have a lead blocker he could trust.
Yeah, he had the quarterback.
He had the quarterback lead blocking. People kept saying that, and I'm like, dude, if he had a 300-pounder or a tight end out there, he probably bounces it outside because he could trust he's going to hold that guy. There was no trust that CJ was. He was trying to make something happen with CJ Carr being his lead blocker.
Right. And which, by the way, is why I don't like the Wildcat, at least in the way that they are doing it. And we can dissect that, at some point, but I just don't like, it's not, people are always like, well, they're just running the Wildcat because they're basically doing what Riley Leonard used to do last year. No, it's completely different, because you're either taking the quarterback, who is not a runner. He's athletic, but he's not a runner. Okay. And you're either asking him to lead block, or you're putting him out at wide receiver, and you're taking away that advantage that you had last year, where you had multiple guys in and you had Jeremiah Love as your lead blocker. Like, it's completely different. And it really bothers me when people are like, oh, they're just trying to recreate what they did with Riley. No, it's completely different, and it's not working. So please stop doing it. You're better off either just handing it off or letting CJ throw the football. Like, stop doing it. But anyway, but yeah, it was just kind of clunky, and they do need to execute better across the board, right? There were issues, and we'll get more into some specific issues as we get into the offense, and we get into upon further review that we'll kind of get after tomorrow, after we watch the film and things of that nature. But yeah, the offense just felt a little clunky today. But clunky or not, again, they almost put up 400 yards. They scored 28 points. They covered the spread. Like, yes, we want more, because there was a bunch of points that were left out on the field where we would probably have a different conversation right now, Sean, as to how we feel about this game and how we felt about the 4th quarter. But at the end of the day, they won the game. They're 3-0 over the last 3, and they're over 500, and they're moving in the right direction. So, there's a lot of good here. There's some nitpicky stuff that we can get after. But at the end of the day, every one of those guys that were wearing black and white need to be fired. And they need to be held accountable, because that was awful. It was awful. It was awful. And I absolutely hate getting after referees. I hate it, because it's a thankless job. Nobody wants to do it, which is why refereeing isn't great, by the way, because nobody wants to do it. And so you don't have the best of the best, right? But it was just so bad today that we have to talk about it, Sean. Like, I can only go so far. I can only defend referees so far. Today was just, it was a disgrace for the profession of refereeing. And I really hope there's no Mountain West officials in Notre Dame's near future, because that was just not a good look for that group. If that is in fact the conference that they came from, that was just not a great look, Sean. Oh, so frustrating. It's like, really, another flag. Even the announcers like, oh, a rare play with no flags. Like, that should not be something an announcer is saying. I agree with him, but that is not something an announcer should say.
And then I believe, if I remember correctly, they tried to run the play on 3rd and goal and got the procedure penalty. They should have just left that alone. Like, we're not going back to that. And then they should go back to it.
Yes.
Just those type of things. Just clunky play calling. Some questionable. They got really cute in certain situations today. Just really cute. Instead of just lining up and just being better. You're better.
Correct.
You're better. It's okay to be better. And so I think that's something that, we'll get into with the offense. But I love that players are making plays. I love that players are being better. But it's up to these coaches to be better as well.
Right.
It's up to these coaches to be better. I'll give you another example. The big picture. Like, you're up 28-7. I understand Marcus might have wanted to get some style points late in the game, be aggressive. But the end around on first, it's like, come on, man. It's so many other things we can do in the run game. And you just getting cute in the situation. Now, I didn't have a problem with them being aggressive right there. I'm like, be aggressive. Go score, keep the ball. Your defense had stopped them a couple of times in the 4th quarter. Run the clock out, put some more points on the board, look more impressive. But, yeah, I think on both sides of the ball, Vince, we talked about it. There was some questionable play calls and situations where they might have gotten a little bit cute and just got away from what was working and what would work schematically against this team. But overall, as I said before, what stands out to me, Vince, is that you needed this type. I told Brian this week on RTCF, this is an opponent I think Notre Dame needs to see right now. They need this type of opponent in front of them. That's going to force them to play a disciplined, play-to-play, focused type game. That's the way I felt. And I said it all week. This game is going to probably be the weirdest and toughest game in the next 4 games over the stretch. And it played out. At first, Vince, I was like, yo, this has to be a Vegas special, the way this game is being officiated. I was like, wait a minute. This has to be a Vegas special. Like, if they don't cover, yeah, I wouldn't be mad at anybody saying the fix is in, games are rigged, because it just came across like one of those weird games. It's like,
yep,
the amount of flags that were just flying all over the field from the start of this game on both teams was just absurd. It was just absurd. It was absurd.
Have you guys talked about the officiating yet?
We have.
Have we?
We've touched on it.
All right. That was the absolute worst officiated game in the world. Guys, honestly, I'm not even being hyperbolic. I've had 40 minutes of the drive home to think about it because of Notre Dame's stupidity after the game of now we can't go out the way we've gone for 10 years and all this other nonsense, which added 15 minutes of my drive. But that was literally the worst officiated game in the world. And then there's things I'm going to talk about. I want to see better from the offense, better from the defense. But if you're the offense, how do you get rolling when, like, it seems like every time that, you kind of break a play, they're going to call some BS penalty on you, or defensively, you make a big stop and they call some BS penalty on you. I mean, it is absolutely terrible. The pass interference call on Eli Raritan is one of the most stupid calls. And then they don't call the pass interference when the DB knocks into Micah Gilbert before he gets the ball. Like, it was ridiculous. That game should have been 42-7 just on bad officiating calls. And look, Sean, you and I last night were talking about, like, Nafisha Collier's comments the other day, right? She was talking about officiating, like, you're hurting the game. You're hurting the product on the field when you allow this type of terrible officiating. And you know what? Part of this is on Notre Dame. Because Marcus Freeman pointed out after the game that this is the same officiating crew that did the Virginia game last year. Why did you ever allow them to do another game inside your stadium? Ever? I would if Pete Bavacqua is the AD that I hope he is, he's calling whatever garbage league they're from and saying that crew is never doing another game at our place, ever. That was an embarrassment, an absolute embarrassment. And that killed some of the momentum of the game. Now, Notre Dame had their own sloppy penalties in this game, but it's like when things like that are happening, guys, I don't really know what you're supposed to do. I really don't. That was one of the most egregious things I've seen. Like, and I've seen people, oh, it's both ways. No, it wasn't. Like maybe they missed a call or two that benefited Notre Dame. No, it wasn't. That was not it was bad both ways kind of thing. Just like it wasn't bad both ways when they played Virginia last year. It was bad in one direction, and it was bad towards let's like the roughing call on Jason Onye was a joke. You can't play defense any different than he did on that particular play. Like what he's supposed to tell him to do. He's starting to make the tackle, and the guy still has the ball. What's he supposed to do? He didn't also bury the guy into the ground. Like, is he supposed to hit him going like this with his hands out? Like what? And then you start doing something like that. You pull up, and then Maddox Matson pump fakes, takes off running, and it was an absolute joke. It was an absolute embarrassment. And I hate that the first thing I'm talking about is officiating. But you know what? This is a 42-7 game. If just the officiating didn't suck, with all the other things that we may be able to pick apart in this game, don't even change CJ's missed on the top. I mean, none of that. Just change the officiating, and this is a 42-7 game. Just flat out. Just flat out. Were you guys getting ready to move on to the offense?
I think so. Yeah.
We were getting there, but I was waiting for you to get here to give your thoughts, and then we'll dive into the offense.
Yeah. Couple overall thoughts from the game.
Yeah.
First of all, look, there's things we're going to critique of the game, and we'll critique it upon further now. But look, I predicted a 41-20 game, and it was sloppier on offense than I wanted. It was better on defense than I thought it was going to be. They won 20-7. Now, Vince, you're the teacher. 41 minus 20 is what?
21.
Okay. 28 minus 7 is what?
21.
Okay. The spread was what?
20.5.
Right. Worse than Boise's had in years. They won by the same amount of points that I thought they were going to win by. Offense wasn't as good as it should have been. Defense was better than I thought it was going to be. At the end of the day, for all the 100%. Things you can critique, I'm okay with it. It's kind of funny, though, how sometimes your reaction about how impressive the win was will be determined by what was the score that the offense had. So, like, if they would have won 41-20, we'd be sitting here probably thinking it was a more convincing win than 28-7. And so, but like, there's things to critique. At the end of the day, guys, here's what I take away. Notre Dame was sloppy today in all phases of the game. Just sloppy. I mean, you had a missed extra point, you had a muffed punt, Jordan Faison also muffed another play on the end around. CJ misses a wide open player. You had a couple run throughs you allowed on offense, and missed tackling on defense, and bad contain on defense. And at the end of the day, you still dominated Boise State. And this is a quality Boise State team. This isn't like last year's team. This isn't like beating last year's team 28-7, but this is a convincing win. And even when it was 7-6, guys, I don't know how you guys felt, but even when it was 7-6, I had a completely different feeling than I did a year ago watching them play Boise State. I mean, Northern Illinois. I honestly was like, I wasn't worried. I don't know. And it's funny because I should have probably been more worried about this team than I was last year's team. But when you're just watching it play, it's just one of those things where I honestly wasn't worried. I just felt like this team was kind of in control. And then, of course, the offense goes down and answers with a touchdown. And then, you win the middle eight again and all that kind of stuff. So, you look at all those things, and it was a quality win. It was a sloppy win, but what this showed me is this team can still win convincingly when they don't bring their A game.
Yeah.
Like, we can nitpick and be upset that it wasn't the perfect game, and I don't know if anybody's being that way. This isn't a reaction to anybody in the chat, or I haven't had a chance to listen, but I'm just saying, like, in general, I know sometimes in games like this, we could pick things apart and be negative that they didn't score as many points as we thought they did, and they had this mistake and that mistake. And as a coach, I'm frustrated by that, and I want to clean that stuff up in practice. But when you can have all those mistakes and all those penalties and still win a game by 21 points that was really not competitive. Like even 14-7 at halftime, guys, I just was sitting there thinking like, they're fine. Like they're fine. And that was a good place to be because I have more faith in this offense than I did last year at this time. And I just felt like the way the defense was playing, there's some things we'll talk about that I didn't love from the defense in the game today, but there's a lot of things I liked from the defense today as well. I just honestly I was confident that they were going to win the game. The only question for me was how convincingly. And when they went up 21-7, I was like, if they get a stop here, it's ball game. I felt like, okay. So, last 2 weeks, Notre Dame's offense was cooking, boys. I mean, they're just, they're scoring on like 7 of 8 first half possessions, something, or 8 of 9 first half possessions, something like that. Today, they moved the ball, couldn't put in the end zone. Vince, you and I will do this and do the key upon further review for the keys to victory. This is why finishing was the last key to victory for me. You got to finish, Sean, because I just kind of had one of those feelings like you had, like this could be one of those weird sloppy games. You're coming home. You got NC State and USC coming up. But at the end of the day, what this team showed is they don't have to be perfect. They played a B- game today and beat Boise State by 3 touchdowns. I can live with that. I'm not like, hey, boys, we beat NC State by 20 or beat Boise by 21 points. We dominated. We were great. No, they weren't. They weren't great today. They still won by 21 points. On a day where I watched Penn State get beat by UCLA and Texas get beat by Florida.
Texas. Yeah.
Notre Dame went out and won by 21 points.
Right.
In a game that, I really never felt like they were challenged. And I think, wasn't their only touchdown drive? Let me go look. I got let me grab my notes, but wasn't their only touchdown drive for Boise a play that was aided by an officiating call? Or am I misremembering that?
Do you even really need to look that up to make that claim?
Yes.
Yeah. You had the so you had the
it was a PI,
second and 10,
wasn't it?
3rd and 10. They had a boot. No, that I didn't see a penalty on that one. They had the 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10. They allowed the slant. No, that was the play where Notre Dame had some miscommunication. So yeah, that was not it. Then they actually had a penalty against Boise State. But no, I just felt like it was a sloppy game, that Notre Dame still was the more physical team. They were the more talented team. I mean, they out-talented Boise State today. But you're not going to be perfect for 12 games. And obviously Notre Dame wasn't perfect on offense today after 3 pretty darn good games in a row. And the defense was better today. I mean, Vince, what you had Boise scoring how much in this game? What was your prediction?
Oh, I think at 20-something.
I had them scoring 20. They scored 7. Yeah. And honestly, it's not like they threatened again. They really didn't have a lot of drives where like, oh man, Notre Dame stopped them twice inside the 10. They had like 2 legit scoring drives, and one of them was at the end of the game.
Yeah,
so
24 for me.
Yeah. Overall, I'm happy to win. As we always say, guys, when there's stuff to clean up, it's nice to talk about stuff to clean up after a win. A 21-point win. So I'm happy. I'm just, my disgust just comes down to the officiating, because that was just an absolutely disgusting display from the officials. Not every penalty was on them. It was disgusting.
It's just like when a home plate umpire wants the game to be about them. Like that's what it felt like. It felt like this crew wanted the game to be about them. Like, and that's frustrating. Just let the guys play, man. Like it was just, they were calling it way too tight. Just way.
Well, but then they weren't. Like, because you say that, but then you watch the play against like the Malachi Fields or Micah Gilbert. If you're going to call if what
they were not consistent at
all, was pass interference, then what they did to Micah Gilbert was even more so.
It was 2 guys that basically hit him and didn't even look for the football.
I mean, the pass interference on Luke Touch was an absolutely abysmal call, and it wasn't even in the top 2 of worst PI calls in this game. The Eli Raridan one was just, I still am like, you are making stuff up. Yeah. You're making stuff up.
The call on Talent should have been holding. If it was going to be anything, it should have been a defensive holding call, not pass interference. But Brian, the whole thing is
him first.
Yeah. Vince and I were talking about this across all sports. Like, most crews are known for their style of how they officiate the game. You already know coming in, this crew is going to be tight. This crew is going to let us play a little bit. You had officials calling it tight and his crew. You had officials letting them play. There was no consistency. Even the Tate Johnson personal foul. He was literally still in the field when Tate grabbed him.
Yeah,
and he
then they
throws him
didn't
out of
call.
bounds.
Then they didn't call
on the Notre Dame side.
Like,
yes, Vince. Yes.
What?
Yes.
That was. Bro, I actually yelled at the TV at that point. I've scared my daughter. Like that was. I'm like, are you kidding me? That one bothered me. Like if you're gonna call that ticky tack stuff, then call it on the other side too. Come on, man. Like 15 yards. That's a huge difference in a drive.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't call that penalty on Eli Raridan, Notre Dame goes down there and scores a touchdown. I mean, that was a big play. They're close to the red zone, if not in the red zone.
It was a first down. It was like a 22-yard pass.
Yeah, it was a joke. Absolute joke. And then you got that pick. You're about to get the ball and deep in their territory. You're about to punch another one in, and they call that. Marcus Freeman, to his credit, was very he mentioned that this is the same crew that did the Virginia game last year. He said that. And then he starts, they got a tough job. Look, I get he has to say that. He doesn't want to get fined. He's got,
Did he bring that up on his own? Or was he asked about it?
Okay. He was asked about it.
I was just curious.
But, he doesn't want to get fined $50,000 or whatever it is. But, one of the reasons that officiating there's two main reasons why officiating in NCAA is terrible. One is they don't do enough, or three reasons. A, they don't pay enough to get quality officials to really focus on it. B, there's not enough training for officiating. And three, there's no accountability for officials. And this is true across all sports. Until you start creating more accountability for officials, where you don't fine coaches after games for ripping officials because they did a bad job. Officials don't have to answer questions after stuff. There needs to be way more accountability. And yeah, you've seen official crews like pulled from games because they just have egregiously game-changing plays. Start doing more of this. Like these guys should get demoted to, like, there should be, what people talk about relegation for college football. I think there should be relegation for officiating. If you're at the FCS level and it's a crew and you guys want to go up, then you work on your craft. You perfect your craft. My dad was an umpire my whole life. So I've watched a guy that went from doing like little league games all the way up to, he was doing college games by the end of before we moved to Virginia. And he was someone, he took it seriously. He made sure he was shining his shoes. He took that real seriously. He was always going to umpiring clinics to get better at his craft and all that. So, hey, look, you guys in the MAC level, you want to come up to the ACC, have some relegation. You grade out at this way every game, you get called up. Like, screw that. There needs to be more accountability for officiating in college football. It's an absolute joke what we saw tonight.
I've watched a lot of high school football, and I've watched a lot of D2 football here very recently. There's good crews out there that deserve to move up, and there's some really crappy ones that deserve to move down. I am 1,000% with you. I wish that was a thing that we could make happen, because it is embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some Notre Dame. We can move on. I had to say something.
Love it.
It's a joke.
All right, fellas, let's turn to some offense here, and let's get some initial thoughts on the offense.
Hey, Vince, let's just a real quick thing.
Yeah.
We just want to thank, obviously, our sponsors of FanDuel, who are sponsoring this podcast. So we want to make sure we get that noted at the beginning of every segment that we do. So appreciate FanDuel for partnering with us this year. And Notre Dame covered the spread. The FanDuel spread was 20.5. So Notre Dame covered. They didn't get the over. So if you bet, that's the one I would have missed on. I'd have thought they'd have got the over in this game. I really thought they were going to do that. They were way under that. So, but if you bet the spread, you're a happy person. If you bet the over under, you're probably not.
Yeah, there were some offensive parlay legs that did not hit for me today, and I had a safety bet just to make my money back, and I missed it by CJ Carr. Needed one more passing yard. I needed 190. He had 189. So the life of a better.
You can thank the officials for that, because they took back a 20-something yard gain for CJ to Eli Raridan.
Oh, they took back a lot of things. But anyway, Sean, why don't you lead us off here? Thoughts on the offense, because I know you got some stuff to do here.
Offensively, of course, you look at 200 yards on the ground from the running backs. Once again, the choppiness of the game probably took yardage away from them, but From the total offense, when I look at it, I thought they got cute in the red zone. CJ just being a little bit off. Second straight week, he's kind of been off on deep passes. So I don't know what it is, but I'm sure they'll get that corrected. He'll fight through this, little period. And for the most part, it's a game that I feel good about. Like I told you, Vince, now you understand that don't smell yourself too much offensively. Coming off Purdue and Arkansas, you still have a lot to work on as far as being consistent. Every position, right? Because you could talk about Jeremiah Love bouncing it. He could have bounced it outside on the fourth down. You could talk about the play call, whether or not it was the right play call when you got a procedure penalty, trying it on 3rd and goal. Why do you go back to it? It's just a lot collectively that needs to be done at a higher level to make sure that this offense can continue to grow and be consistent. Jaden Greathouse is out. Will Pauling should have had 2 touchdowns today. He should have had 2 touchdowns today. But, CJ just missed him. He just flat out missed him, right? Yeah, he just had one of those days. The offensive line to me, and they just looked a little bit inconsistent to me, right? They got some things done, but then there was some other areas where you were like, probably could have done a better job there. A little bit too much penetration on certain schemes that they were trying to run. Still wonder about Emil Wagner right at the right tackle. I thought Anthony Knapp and one pass pro, struggled a little bit. But for the most part, with a team like Boise State and the games they ran up front and the pressures they tried to bring, for the most part, offensive line was solid, gave CJ time, and allowed him to be able to scan the field and make decisions and make throws. CJ still, one thing he has to grow, just get rid of the ball. And sir, he still holds on to the ball a little bit too long, just a tad bit too long when he gets outside the pocket. As explosive as this offense is, man, just live to fight another day. Just get rid of the ball. Don't take unnecessary hits and go on to the next down. But that's nitpicking. So for me, the offense didn't operate as cleanly as I would have liked them to operate. But if you look at it and stand back, take away the officiating, what you saw you saw a lot of things, and the one thing you saw was they can spread the ball around. Eli was involved in the offense. It's almost like they can go to Malachi Fields whenever they feel like it. All right, we know we can go to him whenever we feel like it. Will Pauling in the slot. They worked him today. Jordan Faison, especially in the play action game and what he does best. And then they brought back some of the screen game today that we hadn't seen the previous games. They went to that a little bit more, but that was really in long yardage situations. You start to see the multiplicity of ways they can really go at, the multiple ways they can really dissect defenses. You talk about the Eli Raridan play, Vince. You talked about that pickup. I think that was like a 2nd and 21 or a 3rd and 21. Yeah. They picked up exactly 22. That's why it was such a big play.
Yep.
And so just the confidence to call that play, block it up, execute it, and then have it foiled by a terrible offensive pass interference call, right? It just takes away what would have been that's great to see. That's great. When's the last time on 3rd and long you feel comfortable as a Notre Dame fan, or 2nd and long, that Notre Dame is going to convert on this series? And that's the confidence this offense gives you, that they can do those things. Even when they get behind the chains, that's just a bump in the road. We're still going to move the ball down the field. And even though it was a sloppy game, you still had that feeling with this offense, which kind of was like the inverse of what we were talking about at the end of the game, Vince, with the defense, right? It's been so good today. Please don't let them score and mess up what has been a really good day. The offense kind of sputtered, and you were still feeling good. man, we can go down and score on these dudes whenever we get ready. Like, if the refs would actually call the game right, we would put 50 up on this team. It's just amazing how you have different point of views. You know what I'm saying?
Did Boise really stop Notre Dame today, Sean?
No.
Notre Dame stopped Notre Dame, and the official stopped Notre Dame.
Yes. Yes, we talked about it, Vince, to have 6 points. They dominated that game early and had 6 points on the board. It's like Boise State had to be grateful.
Yes. No question. It was 14-7 at halftime, Sean. Notre Dame had 251 yards. Boise State had 125 yards.
The stats weren't even close. The stats were not even close in the first half. They just weren't. And it, Sean, are you good offensively for right now?
I just wanted to say I thought the wide receivers. Yeah, I thought the wide receivers. Once again, the blocking game, I think they've improved. I just think the way they're being coached, you see the improvement from the wide receivers.
The downfield blocking on that touchdown run by Jadarian Price.
Jadarian Price was fantastic.
Excellent.
I was just about to talk about that
blocked
run.
That guy for 50 yards. He literally blocked that guy for 50 yards.
And then for a measure, just threw him down in the end zone just to finish it off. Like, you know what? Let me go ahead and finish this off. So for me, wasn't the best execution offensively to maximize how dominant and how better you were than them. But I love the fact that Denbrock did. We talked about this. They had really small defensive backs. And I felt like Malachi Fields could be taking advantage. They could take advantage of that. Eli took advantage of it. Will Pauling's touchdown, he actually missed them and was late on the first attempt to Will Pauling.
No, and that was a terrible job by Will Pauling on that, by the way. He does not know how to play slot fades at all. Like, even the touchdown he caught on a slot fade, that's because CJ literally threw a perfect pass. Like, if CJ Carr does not perfectly place it on his back shoulder, he has no ability to play the slot fade. Like, you won't know why they didn't call. I mean, he made no attempt to catch that slot fade on the one that was underthrown. He didn't go up for it at all. He's terrible at that. He does some other things well, but he's terrible at playing that slot.
You talking about the first one?
The first
one thrown to the inside of the defender?
No, he's got to go up for the ball. He's got to go up for the football, and either A, you catch it, or B, you get PI. Not the touchdown.
That's why from the TV copy, it looked like it was to the left of the defender
because of the way he played it.
He threw the other one to the outside. Now that right there, I can't see from your point of view.
Yeah.
From the TV perspective, it looked like the ball should have been thrown more to the outside. It was thrown to the inside.
It was not a great ball.
Up. Okay.
But that's my point is if he doesn't throw it perfectly, Will Pauling has no chance to catch it.
Well, first of all, it touched his hands. It touched his hands. So you tell a receiver if it touches your hands, you need to catch the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I just really think there's a lot to be these running backs, they're just so darn good, man. Oh man. They're so darn good. And you don't need to give them much room. Jadarian's run, when you really look at the crease, it really looked like the pad drill that they run in camp, the way he got through there. Because like the crease is like this small. He jumps in, then he jump cuts to the right, and then darts back to the left and comes across the field. And just from there, speed and breaking tackles. So both of them are fantastic. CJ is going to be fine. If this is his blip on the radar, then I will say something today. This is the first game where I think he didn't make that one big mistake where you felt like he really put the ball in harm's way.
Yeah.
This was that, okay, even though he didn't play well, other games he had that one or two different plays where he put the ball in harm's way. He didn't do that today. And so that, for me, is something that you can pull from this game. Say, okay, we see growth right there. But other than that,
what's his not playing well? Like, to your point, he didn't play well. 15 of 23, 65% completions, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had another 20-something yards called back on penalties. Like, I'll take that. He just was a little off, like you said, Sean. I think you called it. I mean, like the throw to Will Pauling in the end zone. That's just, you need a better throw.
Yeah.
Just put more air under it.
So,
Let him run underneath it.
Or just
all.
put it on him. He let him too much.
Right.
Just put it on him.
Yeah.
When he hits that break, you just put it right on him.
Look, he's made that throw 100 times. He's made it in games already this year to Will Pauling. So like you kind of write it off and you're like, okay, yeah, he wasn't sharp today. You know what I mean? He was still good. He just wasn't sharp.
Yeah.
And
his decision making was not great today either. He locked in a couple times on receivers when he shouldn't have. He locked in on Malachi on that smash concept. He threw the corner route, never looked anywhere else. Locked in on, I think it was a throw to Faison that he shouldn't have. Like the deep post, he locked in on Faison. He should have either thrown the over or the check down. This was off. His decision making the runs in. So they ran a counter tray with a backside. I think it was counter tray with a backside read, and the edge guy crashed, and so CJ pulled it. But but they had a double crash, and when you have a double crash, it's an automatic give.
Yeah,
like you can't make those kind of mistakes. So he made a couple plays like that. He had an off day. Right. He wasn't as good as he normally is, but again, still went 15 of 23 for 189 yards. 2 touchdowns and had another touchdown call back. And his 2 touchdown passes were perfect throws.
Yeah.
But he just wasn't.
And then like we said early in the week, this was going to be a team that was not about to give him things that Purdue just willingly gave this offense. Almost like, okay, we're just going to hang back and hope. No, Boise State wasn't going to do that.
That's part of the reason for that, Sean. And we talked about that during the week. Is this team is going to heat you up more? They're going to bring more blitzes. They're going to try to do things to disguise more coverages and mix him up and different things like that. So, and I don't think he handled it super well. It's the first time he's really seen a defense that's going to throw a lot of kind of junk at him. And I think a lot of times when you're a young quarterback and you see that, you're going to kind of revert to, okay, what's my number one read? And that's just what we saw from CJ today. So he wasn't super sharp, still made some big time throws, I thought, today, but he's got to make better decisions. And he's just got to understand, like, even when they blitz, you can't just lock in on your first throw. But honestly, some of the throws where he locked on, he actually didn't get a lot of pressure. And so he's just got to, he's got to make a better decision, but you're going to have days like this. But the encouraging thing for me, Vince, and you could talk about this in the first one, is one of the things that you and I have talked about privately, and I mentioned on the show this week, is are they going to be able to win if CJ Carr doesn't have a big day and they can't get to 30? And we saw that today.
Correct.
The offense didn't have a great day. The offense did a lot of good things, but then those things were negated by their own self-inflicted wounds early and then by some officiating stuff later. Like the officials did not make a bad call on the false start. Like, but like CJ wasn't super sharp today, but he didn't I think Sean's point though that I liked, he had a lot of things I liked, but the point that I really liked was, but this is also like he was brilliant last week, but still had a throw that you're like, that should have been a pick. The guy dropped it. He
one you want back.
Of those throws that you're just like, Purdue, he had obviously, he didn't have any throws like that because he only threw 12 passes, but he didn't. I mean, there weren't any throws that I felt like, oh man, they're got a little lucky on that one. Game plan wise, I think overall I had no problem with the game plan, Vince. I thought the game plan was sound. I think they did a lot of good things. They moved the pocket, play action, run. I thought they got a little bit too mid zone heavy today, but they still ran some counter tray stuff and all that. But I just don't like that 3rd and goal call. Like, first of all, why are you just hand the freaking ball off to Jeremiah Love?
Stop with the Wildcat stuff. They're getting too cute.
And then don't call something on Wildcat where you're going to ask CJ Carr to be a lead blocker.
Your lead blocker. Yes.
Just a terrible decision.
Correct.
And then you show it and you get a false start. And then you go back to it 2 plays later. Like they were able to see it. Why would you go back to it 2 plays later? I just thought they were getting too cute. And I think that sequence really changed the game. Yeah. That sequence plus a just silly holding call on Devontae Smith that would have had Boise punting out of their own end zone if he doesn't. And that was on him. There was no need to grab that guy's jersey like that. And he did. He was in perfect phase and all that. Like that sequence to me indicate like that was like indicative of the entire game. Just those, you're rolling on them. I mean, you're moving the ball up and down the field on these guys and you just don't punch it in the end zone. Like I said, they They had 251 yards at halftime, and it was 252 until they took a knee on the last play. Like, they were on pace for 500 yards of offense in this game. But then they just didn't do enough to really put it away. And then second half, I don't think they handled, like, Boise made some adjustments in the second half. And I don't, and with some pressures and some different looks, and I don't think Notre Dame adjusted very well to that. And I also look, I gotta challenge Jawan Sider a little bit on this too. Look, Jeremiah Love's a stud. We all know he's a stud. But 15-1 touches, Jeremiah Love to Jadarian Price touches in the first half is absurd. And not only just that, but there were 3 times Jeremiah Love, who first of all got helped off the field after a run, had to get helped off by the trainers off the field 3 times in the first half. He was slow to get off the ground, and they never put in Price.
Yeah, what was that about? That was
no clue.
That was interesting. I don't get that.
As a running backs coach, you got to see that and immediately get Jadarian Price in the game.
They've been much more liberal about getting Price in the game earlier in the season, and it's like, nope, we're going to go with Love the entire first half.
Yeah,
come hell or high water, and I don't
no sense. Yeah, it made absolutely no sense. I don't understand, why you made that decision. So, yeah, I didn't love it. And then, Jeremiah Love fumbles the ball. So, he stayed in. He stayed in.
Taken out. Yeah.
So if you're going to yank Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price, like 3 plays after he rips off the only big run you had the whole game against Miami for fumbling the ball that they didn't lose because CJ Carr recovered it, then have we changed our policy, or does Jeremiah Love get special treatment from the coach? Now, this is not a shot at Jeremiah Love. This is a coaching mistake.
Correct.
You're going to wear that kid down. 15 touches in the first half compared to 1, and Jeremiah was playing great in the first half.
Yep.
So, again, I wouldn't have yanked him in that situation either. This is the whole point. 15-1 touches, and 3 times in the second quarter, he had linemen helping him off the ground. That's bad coaching. And it's not about, should you be focusing on Jeremiah Love? Of course you should be focusing on Jeremiah Love.
That's your job.
He's a great player, but you're going to wear this guy down, and you're going to run the risk of injury to him. And so I don't know what his deal is. I don't understand his I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. You can't allow that. You're going to wear that kid down, and you need Jeremiah Love. If you're going to be the team that you're going to be this year, you need Jeremiah Love. So I didn't quite, especially the way that Jadarian Price is playing. I mean, he was averaging what was his yards per carry coming into the game, Vince? It wasn't almost
10 yards today, but
coming into the game, he was at 6.8 yards per carry. So today he had, what was his total today?
10.4 yards a carry. He had 8 carries.
He had 83 yards. 83 yards. So he's got 273 plus 83. So he's averaging right now 7.1 yards per carry, and he's got 7 rushing touchdowns. What more do you need to see from this kid to say, hey, look, if Jeremiah is wearing down, we have no problem putting Jadarian in the game and give him, a little bit of a breather. So I don't understand that.
Right.
But I thought some good things we saw. I think the receiver blocking is good. I don't understand why they didn't go deeper in the receiver rotation. Those guys were kind of dragging a little bit in the second half. You could kind of see it on some of their routes and releases. They weren't quite as sharp. I didn't think they did a great job getting some ISOs. I thought there were some opportunities, especially in the second half, to get Jeremiah Love involved more in the pass game. They ran an angle route, which we talked about during the week. He was wide open. I would have gone back to that. Mm-hmm. But overall, I mean, it was a good game plan. They moved the ball well, especially early. They got to finish. They just got to finish. They got to be better. You get stopped at the 2 on your first drive. You score a touchdown on your second drive. Your third drive, just gets completely blown up. You with CJ's poor decision, and then you get a false start. Now it's 3rd and 20, and then your next drive, you just kind of couldn't kind of keep that momentum going. And I didn't another call, the 3rd and 10, and you're trying to just get some yards to get in a better 4th down situation, and you call a quarterback draw. I didn't
Yeah,
understand
that was odd too. I didn't.
But
like
then
that
4th
call.
and 8, you got Will Pauling wide open, and CJ just missed him. So overall, it was a sloppy first half and a really sloppy game from the offense. But they did what they needed to do to win the game, and that's the thing is like some things to be critical. I thought the O-line played hard, but they didn't play great. There's more misses today. Their timing on double teams wasn't great. They got attacked more today by, I think part of this was on Boise, and they didn't respond well. There's a lot more linebacker fires, a lot more linebacker stunts, a lot more movement up front. Boise comes off the line a lot faster than Arkansas and Purdue did. They didn't always play well with that.
They were trying to bring pressure because they're not as athletic on the second level. Like there was the one linebacker, big burly dude, like
Notarini, I think his name is.
If they don't bring pressure to try to force the issue, they're going to get run on. You know what I mean? So like, I think it was a good game plan by Boise State. I don't know that Notre Dame did a great job of attacking that particular game plan. It's a smart game plan by Boise because they know who their personnel is and they know how they're going to have to operate to deal with the kind of talent that Notre Dame has in their backfield. And they were able to make some plays in the backfield, right? I mean, I actually thought it was a good game plan by Boise State because look, they're man to man, not man to man defense, but like man to man, they're outgunned by Notre Dame from an athletic standpoint. So you have to kind of manufacture some things. And I thought they did a really good job. I didn't like how Notre Dame responded, but they have such talent in the backfield that as soon as they got past that first level, you know what I mean? Like now
they've seen it, right? Like now they've seen it.
Point.
Now you've seen it. Now you'll be able to adjust to it. But this is kind of the question we have about the offensive line. Can they play good football against the defensive line that doesn't stand there and take it? So again, we're not banging CJ Carr, guys, for having an off day. We're calling. We're talking. We're evaluating the game. He had an off day. We're not like put in Kenny Minchie and CJ Carr sucks. And now that they got film on him, he had an off day. It's fine. We're not freaking out about it. That's going. And I've said for how long, Vince? I've said it's going to happen. He's going to have a game where he's not on fire. He's a redshirt freshman. That's going to happen.
And we told you guys it was going to happen. He has played at a very high level the first 4 games.
We just said it's going to happen.
Right, but we said it's going to happen at some point where he's not going to be
than in the next 2 weeks against NC State and USC's high-powered offense.
Well, and I'd rather it be today when the defense played as well as they did. Yeah. I mean, overall, right? Exactly. I mean, defense played well. They picked them up.
This is the first game where you felt like both sides of the ball had a big impact on the game. Because like even last week, I don't think the defense played very well in the first half. The offense just kind of Arkansas had their own misses, hurt themselves, and then Notre Dame's offense kind of bailed them out by scoring every time they touched the football. Today, the offense was sputtering a little bit, and the defense kept keeping Boise State out of the end zone and sometimes not even letting them get much past midfield. Yeah. So, they bailed them out, but the O-line wasn't great today. But you know what? They played hard, though. Like, there's a drive. Let me find it in my notes. There's a drive where Billy Schrouth really had a bad block. And I noted it in the analysis, and I'm going to try to find which one it was. Let me see here. But then, so like early in the drive, he had a missed block. But then like later in the drive, he actually dominated somebody, like just bullied some guy off the line. Maybe it was the second half. Let me go look in the second half. Yes, it was the first drive of the second half. So they have the -3 yard carry. Schrouth gets blown up, knocked in the backfield. So he throws off timing the run. Then a linebacker runs through the space that was created. But then if you go look at the 2nd and 5 run by Jadarian Price that went for 14 yards, he comes back and just blows the guy up. So what I liked was on the inside, you had some misses. Gerby had some misses. Ashton had some misses. He got pushed back. Billy had some misses. Anthony Knapp had some misses in the run game. But they kept battling. They kept competing. And I think that was good to see. I mean, you can live with misses when your guys are battling, because if they're battling, that means 2 plays later after a miss, they're going to go make a big block and make a play. And that's what you like to see. But like the touchdown run, I think it was the touchdown run. You just had a great block from Ashton Craig. And then Gerby does a great job getting to second level. And the linebacker tries to come off Gerby to get to the back, and he just buries him. And then Jadarian does the rest. So they battled. It wasn't a clean game from the line. It wasn't like it wasn't as good as it was the last 2 weeks. You're playing a better defense than you did the last 2 weeks. I kept telling people all week, this is a better defense than the one you faced the last 2 weeks. But they did what they needed to do to win. You know, you learn from it. Now you've seen a team that's going to blitz more and mix up coverages more. Now CJ can see it and evaluate it, get better at it, and get prepared for it, because NC State and USC's coaches are going to watch that too and say, hey, if we're going to have a chance to slow this offense down and slow this kid down, we're going to have to try to confuse him and get him into some mistakes. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this offense rebounds from it. But, you know, as we said, Vince, it's still at the end of the day, they did what they needed to do. And this running back duo is just absolutely special. I mean, just 186 yards rushing on 24 carries from these two backs.
Right. They make plays when there's not plays to be made. I mean, if you're an offensive lineman, you're very, very happy those guys are behind you.
There was one play where the line got a body on a body, but they brought a safety down, and it was like he was in the hole. But the line had created such a gap that Jeremiah could then make a guy miss. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple times today where Jadarian and Jeremiah had to make a guy miss near the line of scrimmage, and you're like, well, why didn't they block that guy? Because they didn't have enough guys to block that guy. Because Boise was like, hey, we're going to come downhill.
Yep.
So that's why I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more bootleg and play action today from the offense. But it is what it is. But like, when you have backs like this, good luck. And how long have we been saying this, Vince? If you have backs like this, just get a body on a body and then let them work in space on somebody, because it's not going to usually end well for the other team. Correct. If you can do that. But like I said, overall solid day for the offense. They did what was needed and would have had. Let's be real, Vince. If it wasn't for terrible officiating, even with all the sloppiness, they've got 42 points.
Correct. And we talked a little bit before you came on, Sean.
Okay, I called you Trevor earlier, so it's all good.
This is true. We were talking about the fact that yes, the offense sputtered and they had some unforced errors, if we're using tennis lingo. But I also think it was a bit of a choppy offensive experience because of the officiating. I mean, they just couldn't get into a rhythm. You know what I mean? Because it just seemed like every second or third play, we're stopping play. We got to move. We got to deal with a flag. Yeah. We got to, it's just, there was no rhythm to this game. And a lot of that comes from Notre Dame's offense. Like when Notre Dame's offense is chugging, it's like, okay, man, there's a rhythm here. Like, they're moving. It feels good. It just never got to that point. But it also never got to the point where I didn't think Notre Dame was in control of this game either. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of a weird duality of feeling as I'm watching that game. It's like, okay, well, the offense isn't really humming right now, but I'm not worried about Notre Dame losing. Like they're in control of this game. And that was the weird part for me with this game. And I'll get into a little bit more about how I felt when Notre Dame was on defense in the second half. But, at the end of the day, they did what they needed to do. And, they almost put up 400 yards of offense, Brian. Like, even though it didn't feel great, they almost put up 400 yards of offense. I mean, so
they averaged 7.2 yards per play.
Yeah. Yep.
So like your down day is 389 yards and 7.2 yards per play. And, I'll take that.
To get a little spoiled offensively.
No, but, I mean, look, there's reasons to say, hey, look, today wouldn't have been good enough to beat Texas A&M. If the defense would have played the way they did against Texas A&M. But, like I said, at no point in time did I feel like, oh gosh, they're going to, win this game. Because the one thing you couldn't allow today is you couldn't have that big mistake that gave Boise points or gave them a short field that led to points. Right. And they didn't have that big mistake. Their mistakes kept them from getting points, which is not okay. You've got to correct that and you've got to get better next week. But if you're going to have those kind of mistakes, just make sure you avoid the mistakes that can be truly game changing. And you say, well, this wouldn't have been good enough to beat so-and-so. Well, they didn't play so-and-so. They played Boise. So you learn from it, and get better, and you keep churning it next week.
And I want to bring up another point that I made earlier, Brian, and this seems like a good time to do it because you're talking about who they were playing. It's funny when you listen to people talk about this particular game, and it's like, okay, well, one group is saying, well, it's Boise State, man. Like they are traditionally just a great program, and they're disciplined, and they're this, and they're that, and da-da-da-da-da. And then Notre Dame covers, and you're like, well, it's a group of 5 team. They should have done. It's like, you can't really have it both ways, in my opinion. It's either this is a really good group of 5 team that, is going to challenge you, has a chance to upset you, the whole deal, or it's just another group of 5 team. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like the double argument. It bothers me. It's like it's one way or the other, but stick with that, when it doesn't fit your argument. You know what I mean? So, like, Notre Dame went out against a quality opponent because Boise State is a quality opponent. They went out against a quality opponent, and they did what they needed to do. It wasn't pretty necessarily. It wasn't sexy, but they did what they needed to do. They covered. They won by 3 touchdowns, and they're moving on to the next game. Like, so there's positive things here. And I just want that to be out there, 400 yards of offense, all these things. Like, there's positive things that happened, and there's reasons that Notre Dame didn't get to what they needed to get to because they had some unforced errors, and some really choppy officiating, but they still won by 3 scores. So, you got to feel good in that regard.
Yep.
Let's flip it over to the other side of the football, Brian. I'm just going to write down the time here, and we're going to talk defense here on the Irish Breakdown podcast, brought to you by FanDuel. And we love that partnership that we have with FanDuel. And again, I will mention it again. Notre Dame covered, according to FanDuel. It was 20.5 going into the game. And so that's a good thing for Notre Dame. Wish CJ Carr would have gotten 1 more yard, and I would have been a much happier camper. But it is what it is. But at the end of the day, the defense, Brian, gave up 7 points. The yardage isn't fantastic, but 120 of those yards came in the fourth quarter.
And, but it was still only 315, though. I mean, it was still only 315. Boise only went for 4.4 yards of play. They threw for 215 yards, but they did that on 37 attempts.
Right.
They only ran for 100 yards on 34 carries, 2.9 yards per carry, and a good chunk of that was scrambling. Right. Like just you couldn't tackle the quarterback in the fourth quarter of the game, and so look, Vince, here's some things on defense that I noticed that I'm happy about, and I'll talk about some things I didn't like here in a second. But this was the most aggressive game plan we've seen so far from Chris Ash, like by far.
Oh, I agree.
Like even early in the game, they're bringing 5-man pressure, 6-man pressures. There was a sack where, they came out and they had 4 guys slant, and then they brought Drake up the middle and really just did a nice job of just kind of getting guys open. You had the big sack. I think it was second quarter, but Drake blitzes off the middle, completely blows up the running back. And then they slanted the line outside and then looped Kingston right inside off of it. And then Drake and Kingston arrived at the quarterback almost at the same exact time. And there were times today where he had open receivers, but there was a blitz early in the game where Drake came up the middle and the running back cut him, but Drake kind of went flying over the cut. And Madsen had to step back and threw a slant or threw a cross, and he was a little off target and a little late with it, which allowed the defense to kind of get there and break it up. Like, that's the kind of stuff we've been talking about. You don't even have to get to the quarterback to influence a quarterback to make a mistake when you're more aggressive.
For his life. Yeah.
A lot more man today, a lot more aggressive man today. Now, they didn't always play it great. Like Boise, the jet sweeps, the motions where they were just running slide routes. Notre Dame didn't defend that well all day, resulted in some third down conversions. But what I saw today was a defense that was being asked to do something they haven't done all year. And the timing wasn't always good. The communication wasn't always good. The one drive, I think the one touchdown drive Boise did have, I think I noted twice on there. So so you had Christian Gray got beat on it was 3rd and 10, and Mark Zachary runs over, and they're still communicating basically right when the ball snapped. He's misaligned, and they beat him inside on an easy slant route. That's a coaching mistake. You got to get that call in sooner. You got to make sure guys are lined up. Then on the very next play, ball snapped, and Christian Gray and the other DBs are still talking to each other. And then they beat Christian over the top for an over route. Like that, again, that's a coaching mistake. You've got to get those calls in sooner, make sure they're lined up, and you need to have calls. When a team's pushing the tempo, you've got to have the ability to have built-in calls that you just line up and this is the call, right? And so that was, I think, hurt them on that one drive. But outside of that, I thought the defense was pretty steady. what you were able to do is, there was a lot more aggressive line stunts today. There was one play where they blew up a run where Josh Burnham slanted right across the tackle's face and just got deep into the backfield. And then Drake and Kingston both slanted outside of him, and they both arrive at the quarterback or the running back and just blow it up. So I think you saw the aggressiveness today. And hopefully that wasn't just a game plan for Boise. Hopefully this is kind of what this defense is going to do moving forward, because, now it's about clean up some stuff, make sure the rush lanes are a little cleaner. Make sure when you get a chance to tackle the quarterback in the end zone, that you actually tackle him, but we've talked multiple times at post-game shows and other shows where not only did they not force a turnover, or maybe only force one turnover, there weren't any plays where they were even really close to turning the ball over. They forced 4 interceptions today, and there's about 3, and they had another interception called back by a bogus penalty, and there's about 2 or 3 other plays that they almost picked off because you're more aggressive. And that, was it a perfect game? No, it wasn't a perfect game. What's something else I've been begging for all year? Please play Drake Bone and Kingston Viliama more together. We saw that today. We saw that today. So.
And I want to interject just for a quick second. One of the things I really like that I know fans and us and just been begging for, they were more aggressive with the ball in the air. They weren't passive when the ball was in the air. They were actually attacking the football. And look, I'm not saying they should get 4 interceptions every single game, right? Or, potentially
but with
6,
this secondary, you're going to, if you can put more pressure on the quarterback.
Just exactly. And they were aggressive around the quarterback, so he was making some mistakes, and they were aggressive with the ball in the air, man. Finally, if they were aggressive with the ball in the air, they may be undefeated right now. You know what I mean? Because they were playing so passive just across the board. Now when the ball's in the air, they're going up and they're attacking the football. That was thank you. This is what happens when you attack the football. That was my biggest defensive takeaway, is they were attacking the football when it was in the air, and it was so good to see. So good to see.
You got a kid that has a 9-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio coming into the game today. And he threw 3 picks in the Fiesta Bowl last year. One of them was late in the game. Threw 4 picks today and should have had 5. This isn't a kid that's necessarily turns the ball over a ton. Last year he threw 6 interceptions all year. Year before that, he played a decent amount, had 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. This kid, so in the last, coming into this game, in 3 years, he had thrown 10 interceptions. And from 22, 23, and 24, thrown 10 interceptions as a 2.5-year starter. And he threw 4 today, really threw 5. I still say 5 because that was just an abysmal call that negated that turnover, that interception by Jalen Sneed. So I hope, guys, this is a sign of things to come, because if the defense can play this way the rest of the year, it's going to be outstanding. And it wasn't outstanding today. It was really good, but it wasn't outstanding. And the reason I say they will be outstanding, because this is the first time they were allowed to play this way. And I think sometimes the timing was a little off on some pressures and some communication and some things like that. It was almost kind of like a first game again for the defense.
Because they're finally playing like they should be playing,
right?
But get clean
and making calls, and they were showing a lot more different fronts. There was times they would bump Bryce Young inside and bring 2 linebackers off the edge. Just a lot more variety that they showed today. I think the defense did a pretty good job of not getting out leveraged. We talked about that during the week. Boise does a lot of overload side stuff with tight ends and wings, and Notre Dame didn't allow them to out leverage them and get them, bounce some runs outside. There was no creases for them. I think the longest run of the game, Vince, by a running back was something like 8 yards. Let me look at the stat sheet again and make sure I'm correct on that.
It was
Dylan Riley had a long of 20, but that was 20. Late in the game, correct? Wasn't that much later in the game?
I think so, but I can tell. No, it was early. It was
which carry was
48 seconds left. No, I'm sorry, second quarter. It was second quarter. 48 seconds left
in the game.
First and 10 in the first half.
In the half. Oh, that was a play where they missed a tackle, right? The first play of their final drive. That's right. They bounced it outside and got that big run. That was bad. But other than that, I thought the run defense was outstanding. I thought Boubacar was excellent setting the edge. I thought
he was
more snaps for Josh Burnham is going to
end.
Yes.
I thought Boubacar was aggressive and under control, but effective. And he had a really good game. He had a really good game, I think.
There were no tackles for loss in the run game, but there was a lot of zeros, and there was a lot of like 2nd and 10s that were like this far behind the original line. So it's a step in the right direction. Like that's what I'll say, guys. I thought it was definitely a step in the right direction. I thought the interior defensive line was solid all game. I thought the ends were really stout. Burnham coming back. For the most part, they were very disciplined on the backside of bootlegs. You had the touchdown run where like nobody covered the quarterback, and then you had one other play where they didn't cover it correctly. But for the most part, I thought they did a really nice job defending the boots. They got to finish better. They had 4 sacks. They should have had about 7. Just guys not finishing. But
just not finishing,
overall, guys, we'll dive more into specifics upon further review. But overall, I came out of this game saying if this is how the defense plays the rest of the year, this style-wise, this team is going to be really hard to beat, fellas. Really hard to beat.
Wow. Sean, what are your thoughts, my man?
Coming in and really just didn't hear what you guys were said, but I think defensively, the one thing we talked about, Vince, big picture, is that you're starting to see guys make plays, and that's important. Like your guys have to make plays, and you're starting to see Tate Johnson become a dude right before your very eyes. We talked about the speed and athleticism, but his hit stick was absolutely crazy today. Like he was just standing runners up. Just standing them up and driving them back. So he's becoming a complete package at the same. So that's going to give confidence to the play callers. That's going to give confidence to Chris Ash to do certain things as the season moves forward. And that's going to make Adon Schuler better, more aggressive. Adon Schuler came in on a run blitz like a missile, man. I think he tripped the running back up and somebody else cleaned it up. But it was like he took no worry. And, what was behind him. He really trusted his guys. And so for me, I started to see that trust in one another. It was good to see Drake Bowen finally start getting home on his blitzes. Right? Yes. Ran over the running back a couple of times.
More. They triggered him downhill a lot more. A lot more. Real quick, Sean. Drake and Kingston and Jaden Osborne combined for 21 tackles today and 2.5 sacks. That's huge.
And so for me, that right there is something that I love. We talked about Boubacar starting to look quicker, more spry. What Gabriel Rubio was giving you, Jared Dawson, had some good pressure when he came back. And you see Cole Mullen and Elijah Hughes, like they're in there more. They're contributing. They're really becoming a complete package on that defensive line, and they're getting better. Even the way they run their games is much more cleaner. No one is really on the ground like they were against Purdue, and it's well orchestrated. Like you said, they're firing the linebackers, and when they bring 5 or 6, they're getting home or they're getting pressure and pushing the quarterback out. That's what you love to see. And if he just happened to be a really tough, moxie type of quarterback. He was running for his life most of the second half. He really was. And then he was able to, get out of some things and make some plays. So that is, in my opinion, that's starting to marry up. Because we could talk about Chris Ash. Like you said, Vince, I still saw a defensive lineman dropping into coverage. And I'm like, interior defensive lineman.
The
and
third down.
Yes.
The third down where they hit the crosser to the tight end for completion that they reviewed and affirmed it was a call. Why are you asking Jordan Patelho to drop in coverage and play man defense, and why are you dropping Bryce Young in coverage? Like it just some of that stuff was still there. You're just like,
it's like
but
wow.
You know what, Sean? I can live with that if the overall game plan's as aggressive as it was today. I can live with some of that dumb stuff. As long as you can stay aggressive. But there's some of that stuff you're just like, this is something the coach does where he draws it up on paper and it looks great on the board. But practically speaking, you're like, no.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
like you said,
overthinking. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's when you draw it up on the board and you're like, this is perfect. This is the best defensive play, and it's like that. Yes, on the board, it looks fantastic. In reality, it's not.
yeah. And I think, like you said, that when everybody was still not liking the performance against Purdue, the one thing on the post-game show I said, they turned the turnover faucet on. They finally turned the turnover faucet on. And let's see if it continues. And it seemed to be something that is continuing and trending in a positive direction. That's huge. That's huge when you have an explosive offense. If you can turn the ball over and gain extra possessions, you called it bend but don't break type defense, Vince. It really is just forcing teams to have to beat you. Like, force teams to beat you. Don't give them blown coverages. Don't give them easy stuff. Play your defense. Let your guys make plays. And if you make plays, it's going to be a negative play or a turnover or a big play on your side. And even if they make a play, you're minimizing what it can be because it's not a big play. And then it forced them to do that 4 or 5 times down the field just in order to be able to score a touchdown or get a field goal. That's a win. If you get a field goal with your offense, that's a win. And so for me, seeing that and seeing those type of things starting to like be more consistent, come into play, like you said, this could have been they could have had 6 interceptions, another 3 or 4 sacks.
Yeah.
I
feel like the more and more they do this, right, the better they'll get at finishing off some of those plays.
They'll feel better about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the defense is also, I'm reading a little bit into this, but I also think the defense is realizing, man, we got a pretty darn good offense over there. Maybe we can take a few more chances. You know what I mean? From a coaching standpoint and a playing standpoint. Like, you know what? Maybe we can play a little bit more loose. Maybe we can play a little bit more aggressive. We don't have to win the game. The offense can score some points. Let's get after it a little bit. You know what I mean? I think that there is a mentality about that. And look, Brian, you and I and Sean, even we've been around a lot of football teams, right? When you've got one coordinator that's worried that the other coordinator is going to screw some stuff up, you call the game a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just reality. And I hope Chris Ash and Marcus Freeman and Mickens and, whoever, the brain trust for the defense is like, okay, man, those guys over there, they're going to put some points up. So, like, let's get after it here on defense because they're going to back us up if we make a mistake, if we happen to let somebody in the end zone, that kind of a thing. They're going to back us up. Let's get after it. And hopefully we've kind of seen a little bit of that in this game, and it starts to take a little bit of that on. You know what I mean? You can play a little more loose, more aggressive. I'm hoping. Yeah.
And the other thing, too, is like some of the things that you did not do well today were mistakes by personnel. Like your first drive, they QB sneak it for a yard, they inside run it for 2, and then you got a perfect call, aggressive coverage. Devontae's actually in great position to make a play, but he just yanks the guy's jersey when he makes the outcut. There's no need for that. Drives over and they're punting from their own end zone if you don't do that. Now all of a sudden you're getting the ball at midfield. So there were some things like that. There's some communication issues. Like I mentioned, Sean, one of the things I brought up was that one touchdown drive. One of the things you saw, actually, no, you were here for that, was that they weren't communicating well. But, but even then, like, you're going to have some plays where you give up yards, guys. Al Golden didn't hold everyone 125 yards in a game last year. Clark Lee didn't hold everybody 175 yards in a game when he was the D coordinator. But if you can hold Boise State to 315 yards, and Vince, you said, what was it, 120 of it came in the fourth quarter?
Fourth quarter.
He had 125 yards at halftime. So
exactly.
Look, there's things we'll critique, and you got to improve here and improve there defensively. But guys, like, I don't rip Chris Ash in the first 4 games because I dislike Chris Ash. I rip Chris Ash because he did a bad job in the first 4 games. Today, a lot of things we wanted to see. Put Kingston and Drake on the field more. That doesn't mean you don't play Jaden. It doesn't mean you don't play Jalen Sneed. It doesn't mean you don't play Mad Faramo. Those guys still got
put those guys in position to be successful with what they're good at. Like, what did we see Jalen Sneed doing today? What he's freaking good at. Go get football, man. Like, that's what he's good at. And he made plays today, man. Like, I am not a genius by any stretch of the imagination, man, but I know how to play Jalen Sneed and how he's going to be effective. And they finally did it today. and he had some game-changing moments, like let's just keep having him do that. He doesn't need to sit there and be a will linebacker, playing in space and doing all the different things that a normal will linebacker does. Do what he does really well, and he does it so well, guys. It's like, finally, I love seeing 3 run around the football.
We saw Boubacar get turned loose a little bit today. We saw the D tackles allowed to penetrate. It wasn't just, read and react, 2 gapping. They're letting Tay fly around the field. But here's the big thing to me, guys. For the first time in 2025, this cornerback duo looked like what we thought it was going to look like. You had the one play where Christian got beat on the deep over route. The other mistake he made was actually a play he read well. He just kind of got caught between going for the ball and going for the pick. In that instance, he should have just gone for the break, the pass breakup. You got to do a better job there. But he was great in coverage. I mean, I was about to lose it when they called PI, and I thought they were going to call on him. I'm like, he's in perfect face. The guy pushes off of him. I don't know what you want him to do. But he was in perfect face. He didn't grab the guy like he has been doing, and it resulted in an offensive pass interference, as it should have been. I thought Christian looked a lot more comfortable today. He looked a lot more confident today. Yes. And then obviously you get Leonard Moore back, and you guys are really cooking. You're rolling. And so that was great to see. Like, this is what we're supposed to look like. And this is the secondary we thought we were going to have this year, fellas. I mean, today it was that secondary for the most part. 215 yards, though, for a team that was down 3 touchdowns the entire second half. It's a pretty good day.
Threw the ball over 30 times. Threw over 35 times, I think. Yeah,
37. So only 215 yards, but they threw the ball 37 times. You look at the stats, and Boise State today averaged 5.8 yards per attempt. I believe that's about where Notre Dame was last year when they were one of the best defenses in the country in yards per attempt allowed. They were over 6. I think they were at 6.0 last year. 5.8 today. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is what I want to see. You had Tay, you had Adon, you had a Devontae. Was there some kind of announcement about Devontae Smith being hurt?
Yeah, his calf.
Okay, so nothing major. But then Dallas comes in the second half. He's lighting it up. He's playing good football. The corners look like they looked. Kingston gets better and better each week in coverage. He has improved so much from games 1 and 2 in coverage. And you're not asking Drake Bowen to run in with an inside, backside seam. You're letting him attack the quarterback. Imagine that. So I guys, this is what I wanted to see from the defense. This is what we should have been seeing all year. So we can nitpick things, and we will, because that's what we do. I mean, it's Irish breakdown, not Irish fanboys, right? We're going to talk about things we didn't like, and there's some things we have to clean up, and we'll dive into the film upon further review. But even today, like, in some of those yards they got, Vince, they added another 40, 50 yards after the stupid penalty on Jason Onye, which, again, that was Jason Onye doing exactly what he should be doing. I just an awful call. And so, man, I'm excited, because I'm hoping that this wasn't a game plan for Boise. I hope this is a shift of who they want to be moving forward.
I also want to point out, and this is a nod to the defense, they were on the field 12 minutes longer than the offense, and they were on the field for, where was it? I had it for a second. Like total plays is like 20. I think Boise State ran 20 more plays. Yeah, they ran almost 20 more plays than Notre Dame did. And so the defense was on the field a bunch today. Mm-hmm. And, the offense can do a better job of holding onto the football. They can do a better job of keeping the defense fresh. But they didn't do that today, and the defense still played well, which is big, So that's another nod to the defense. It's like, okay, the offense kind of puts you in some spots, you know what I mean? And you still came out, played aggressive, played strong, played fast, all of those things. So I wanted to point that out as well. That's a big deal for the defense right now.
Yep. And they had a much better focus as a unit. Yeah. Like, they had some plays communication-wise. Look, Boise State, this is what I mean by Boise State and the challenge that they were going to pose to Notre Dame. They came in with a game plan that on third downs, they would go spread it out. And once they saw one of the youngsters on the field, whether it was Mark Zachary or Dallas Golden, that was the guy that either by motion, formation, they were going to target because they knew, they could probably, that was their best bet to take advantage of the youngsters in coverage. And it worked a couple of times. And honestly, moving forward, what offensive coordinator wouldn't have that thought process moving forward, especially if Devontae Smith is not going to be healthy, right? That pass interference on him early was ridiculous as well. Like, come on, man. That was really good coverage on the third down.
You talking about the first one on the first
Yeah.
drive?
Yeah.
No, he yanked the guy's jersey when he broke outside.
Oh, so it was holding. They called pass interference.
Yeah,
okay.
The guy broke outside and he yanked his jersey. It was stupid. He shouldn't have done it. But that would be
getting back. Just getting back to
freaking.
Just getting back to my point. They know how teams are going to attack them. And if your guys, like you said, if your two outside guys are going to be the dudes they're supposed to be, it's only, you already know the only ways the teams can really go at you on third downs or in passing situations. So now you can kind of send help that way or put them in better positions to be aggressive coming downhill or to do whatever. They tried a lot of switch releases to confuse the youngsters. Even on that fourth down where Kingston gets the batted pass, the flat was open because it was switch release. And I don't know what the communication was before the snap, but Dallas takes the outside guy that he takes the switch and Christian switches off late. But thankfully they didn't see it.
He went away from the flat real quick.
He went away from the flat.
Yeah.
But isn't that kind of? Sean. But here's the thing, Sean. Let me interject here real quick. Part of that though is when you are more aggressive and the quarterback's is being attacked all game long, his internal clock is going to be way faster, and he's going to make those mistakes. That's the whole point, because he's not going to feel like I can just sit back and go through my progressions like the first four quarterbacks he faced were able to do.
Right.
And that's the whole point. When you speed, and we saw that with CJ Carr today, because Boise sped him up. And so we saw him make some misses even when he wasn't being pressured necessarily. And that's why they should have been more aggressive all year. But that's why I'm glad, Sean, that they were more aggressive today, because you're going to force a quarterback into those kind of mistakes. And this is a veteran, experienced quarterback. He's not super talented, but he's very experienced. This is a kid that's played for in one conference championship. This is a kid that played in the college football playoffs last year. So those are all like byproducts, Sean, of being more aggressive.
Yeah. And that's why I don't know what the communication was on that play. Was the communication if they switch, we're switching, or get over? Like if they switch, you're gonna have to get over the top and just close on them because it's to the field and make the tackle and get off the field. I don't know what the communication was, but like you said, when you have somebody that's having to process a little bit faster than they're comfortable with, which is obvious. We said it. He's very good in play action, right? His QBR was like 10 points higher in play action than it was just normal drop back situations. And so when he is forced to process a little bit faster, a little bit different, he's a less effective quarterback, through the air. So they definitely
they sped him up.
Yeah, they sped him up. I think this defense is growing. I think they're much better than they were against Texas A&M.
Oh gosh, yes.
If they would
have played like this against Texas
A&M, Texas A&M,
they'd have won that game by 2-3 touchdowns.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
At worst, they'd be 3-1 right now. At worst.
Yes. And today they were better. Today they were better than they were. Yeah, they were better than they were against Purdue today. And they were better than they were against Arkansas today.
I actually think yes, thank you, Sean. See, I should have just sat back and let you finish. I think they were better. This was their best performance of the season. And it wasn't like say, oh, it's the opponent. This is as good, if not a better receiving core than what they faced the last 2 weeks. And they faced good receiving cores. When you include the tight ends, Latrell Caples is a good football player. Chris Marshall's a former top recruit. Like that guy's a talented football player. Matt Lauder was on our preseason all-opponent team. So, I mean, these are good football players that they went up against today. And held them in check, and they really did. They held them in check. I mean, Boise had to scheme ways up to even get them open on certain things. So that's that was good to see, Sean. But again, I just think it all goes back to, you know what, the moral of the story, Vince, they coached to the talent today. They let these players play the game and do the things they do best.
Yes.
And shut them down.
It's about time. Like, we've been waiting for this for 5 games. I mean, we have been. We've been waiting for this for 5 games, and they finally allowed the defense to just play. Yep. And they put him in good position to just play. And yes, mistakes were made, but a lot of those mistakes were aggressive mistakes. Like, those are the kind that I'm okay with aggressive mistakes. You know what I mean? Because you're making them at 100 miles an hour, and that's okay. The communication was better today. We didn't see a bunch of pre-snap issues like we were seeing in the first couple of games of the season. You know, those are, I know though that's not setting the bar very high, but those are what you want to see. We need to see this defense progress week in and week out. And yeah, we know what the schedule strength and all of those. Okay, cool. But you can still play well, right? There's still things that we can look at and we can see, and we can judge this team as to if the defense is getting better and if the offense is getting better and all of those things. It doesn't matter who's on the other side of the football. A lot of the things are what you're doing. And so we're seeing the defense get better, which is fantastic. And this is by far the best game that they played, because we're starting to see this defensive identity for Notre Dame and what it has been in the past. And they're finally getting to it. And again, to your point, Brian, I hope this is not a Boise State thing.
Yes.
I hope this is a Notre Dame thing moving forward. And we're not going to know that until next week, obviously. But
100%.
I don't know how you can watch this game back as a coach and not be like, hey, that's the defense that we want. you know, like,
that's the Notre Dame defense.
Yes.
Then they look so much more athletic today, Sean, than they have in the last few games.
I'm glad you guys said that, because it made me think about something that popped in my mind during the game. And I said, for the first time, I feel like they are not allowing what they're facing to dictate how they should play. I think they were so worried about Texas A&M's wide receivers. They were so worried about Arkansas and what they could do that it caused them to go away from who they were and what their guys can do, going back to what you both said. And this was the first game, which we hope this continues. We hope they revealed something to themselves in film and preparation, like, you know what? We can actually hold up regardless of what we're facing on the other side. And we can dictate now to them the pace, how you're going to play, what you're going to be able to do. They basically said, Matson is going to have to beat us today. He has to beat us today. Yeah. We don't think he can. Mm-hmm. And we're going to fire him up. Which is funny, because Boise State is usually the team that lights people up with pressures. And Notre Dame, they were like, yo, we're bringing it. We're bringing it. And poor the backup center, that poor kid. Oh, man. That interior, the D-line was just abusing him all day.
That's tough.
They were just pushing him around. Zach, I felt bad for the kid. Like, from the first snap, I'm like, oh, boy. And then he was having procedural penalties, and it was just a rough one. It was a rough one. But I think I will say this. I do feel like layer by layer, whatever fear, and I'm just using that word because I don't know if it was fear. Maybe there was some logic to it or logic behind it. But whatever it was, that's starting to dissipate. That's starting to dissipate week by week. And maybe this week was just a bigger manifestation of it, you know. So hopefully we continue to see that. And it doesn't mean that North Carolina State can't or won't put up 20, 24. How is it being done? Like, how are you playing, right? Because if a guy makes a play, they make a play. If a receiver makes a one-handed catch and you have really good coverage, then you tip your cap. You're facing two pretty good quarterbacks coming up. If they make some plays, then so be it.
They're going to make plays.
They're
Just
gonna
like
make plays.
Boise today made some plays.
Yes.
But Sean, you and I've talked about this. It's okay to make plays. 3-4 plays of 20, 25 yards aren't going to beat you. If the other plays are +2, -2, +1, interception, sack. What was killing him in the first 3 games was it was 25, 25, 22, 20, and then 12, 9, 7, 13, 15, and you weren't creating any negatives. And Notre Dame absolutely created negatives today. That's the thing. But the more, like last week, they were a little bit more aggressive with some of the coverage stuff, and the DBs looked more confident. Today, they allowed the whole defense to be more aggressive, and the players look confident because now it's like they're going back to what they believe. Hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. And they just played with so much more confidence today against an offense that is not necessarily easy to defend because of all the different things they do with leverages and motions and shifts and jets and play actions and boots and all that different stuff. And for the most part, they handled it pretty well today, guys. And that's a positive, to me, a positive sign. So I just, like you said, I just hope they keep this going. That's going to be the big thing for me. Just keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Because if we see this defense each week, this team is going to be very hard to beat. Very hard to beat.
Correct.
Because they're going to get even better each week as well in this type of game plan. And hopefully clean up some of the missed tackles and some of the mistakes and things like that. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy, Vince. Very happy.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our defensive breakdown. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell, share with your family and friends, and, of course, jump on the boards at irishbreakdown.com because there's going to be all kinds of breakdowns and good stuff over there, and you're going to want to check it out because that's where we do our live video breakdowns and all of those fun things. And, of course, the conversation over there is top-notch. So you're going to want to check that out at boards.irishbreakdown.com. And, of course, all the written content. That's where our boy Trevor is today. He's filling in for Sean, who is at Jesse's wedding. And so he's doing all the written content or some of the written content today. He's taking Sean's job. And so you want to check that out at irishbreakdown.com for all the analysis and stuff of the game that normally Sean does. And so Trevor's stepping in and doing a great job as a pinch hitter. So definitely want to check that out at irishbreakdown.com. All right, gentlemen. Nope, we got it.
First of all, I want to say before we move on to the Super Chats, Vince, and you can cut this part out when you go cut up the show. Okay. I want to thank you all so much. My wife jumped into the chat tonight, and all the people offering her prayers and support and encouragement. I can't tell you all how much that's going to mean to my wife. I know her. I want to thank you all so much. That's going to mean a lot to her. She said ushers were coming up because this is the first game of the year that Angela got to shoot the game. So for those who don't know, Angela's my photographer, and she's been shooting Notre Dame games since I think 2015 when I was at BGI. She's had like 5, 6, 7 like cover photos for the magazine back when I wrote for BGI. And so she's a very good photographer, but because of the surgery and some different things that have been going on, she hasn't been able to shoot any games yet. So today was her first game back. She said ushers were going up to her, other photographers, Rick Kimball, Mike Martin, other photographers going up to her. And she said there was people yelling to her from the stands about just encouraging her and that she's back. So I can't thank y'all enough for the love and support you've shown my wife these last month. It's been very trying for her with her surgery and then losing her dad. So I know how much that meant to her. And so I want to thank you all so much for just the love and support y'all showed my wife today. I just don't know how y'all, I can't put into words necessarily how much that means to me, but it's so incredibly appreciated. You know, to the ushers out there, I know there's some ushers that watch our show that also are sweet to my wife. I can't tell you all how much that means to me because as we always say, family's first, right? And I just had to interject that, Vince, because normally I'm like, hey guys, let's stay on topic about what the show is, but I made an exception today. So I made an exception for y'all when it came to the supporters. I just want to say before we jump into super chats, I just wanted to say thank you to y'all for that because I know it means a lot to me, and I know it means the world to her. So thank you guys for that.
Well, since you're on that path, I will just say this is my first post-game show back after I had my surgery, and I've had so many people reach out to me, whether it's on social media or on the boards or whatever. And it's very, very, very much appreciated. I had one one person reach out to me who listens to the show, and we go back a long way. He's actually in Rome, and he was in St. Peter's Basilica. He's like, I threw a prayer up for you in St. Peter's. Awesome. I was like, that's powerful, man. I appreciate that. So like those are the great people that we have in our lives. And even though we've never met a lot of these people, it means the absolute world. And so I just want to throw that out there as well. I got one surgery down, one to go. And so, keep those prayers coming, because it makes a huge, huge difference. And no lie, it makes a huge difference. So I'll just jump on that bandwagon right there, Brian. So, all right, we got a bunch of super chats that we do want to get to. If you want to get a comment into the show, our normal post-game show routine is that, we write down the time. Is that we go to super chats in the post game show, because there's just so many people, there's so many comments, there's so much excitement during a post game show that we have to stick to the super chat. So if you want to get it in there, throw us a super chat. We will throw it in there. We'll answer your question. We'll have some fun with it, and we really appreciate the interaction that we get to have with people during the post game show. So without further ado, Brian, why don't you throw the first one up, and we'll get after it.
I want to bring this one up because I just want to kind of get it out of the way at the beginning. But Ryan Elliott with a super chat. Thank you, Ryan. He said, he goes, just started listening. This is at the end of our defensive breakdown. He said, just started listening, and you guys sound down in the dumps. We are spoiled. I don't know what you could – I mean, maybe we offer praise and critique of every game, but I thought we were pretty positive. I mean, I literally said if they play defense like this the rest of the year, this team's going to be hard to beat. So, sorry you feel that way, Ryan. I thought we were pretty positive today, but the way we are at Irish Breakdown, we always talk what we liked and what we didn't like, and there's no perfect game. They were close for a while last week on offense. It looked like they were close to getting there, but yeah, I'm sorry that that you feel that way. I also want to bring this up from Lou Holtz Thunder and Bolts. My dad passed away peacefully before the game. By God's grace, I was there to say goodbye last night. Thank you for all the prayers. Love to Indy and IB Nation. Obviously we prayed with him yesterday. We knew this was coming, but still doesn't make it any easier, my brother. So we're definitely praying for you. And he was on his way to the game and had to go back to be with his dad. So we appreciate you for letting us know, giving us an update, man. But we're still praying for you and still thinking about you, and glad that you're with us tonight. And I'm glad that you were able to say goodbye to your father, man. I know that meant a lot to you. Let's keep this thing rolling. But we got to keep rolling. But we talk about you and keep praying for you, man, for sure.
All right. Rice Briner, thank you very much for the super chat. Irish win, and both Texas and Penn State embarrassed themselves. What a great day. You're not wrong. Go Bruins. That was a fun one to watch. And,
dude, that was so awesome.
Go Gators. And Penn State had a 4th and 2 on like the 7-yard line, and they did not get it. Like,
that play call was dumb.
It was awful.
Just dumb. Like, what are you doing? Like, I thought the 4th and 1 call that UCLA made, like, I didn't have no problem with UCLA going for it there. Like, what do you have to lose? You're an interim coach. Like, what do you have to lose? I thought the actual play call was dumb. Yeah. I just didn't, why are you giving the ball to your 6'6" string bean quarterback? Off tackle, get downhill, whatever. Defense held firm and kept Penn State from getting that big play. But you're putting the ball in Drew Aller's hands on 4th and 2 and not Nick Singleton or K-Tron. I mean, I know they're not as good as Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price as a duo. That's been established in the 4 games prior to this.
Yes.
But that's still a really good running back room. And the fact that you did not put the ball in their hands with a game on the line is just coaching malpractice. It just is. I'm sorry. It's coaching malpractice. It just is. Yeah. Drew Aller had 3 more carries than Katron Allen and the same amount of carries as Nicholas Singleton. That is coaching malpractice right there. I'm sorry. But what did we talk about? Well, let's bring this one up from Tom Connor because this is kind of relevant. He goes, thank you for the super chat, Tom. He goes, Brian, you had a great weekend, Nostradamus, 21-point win. Offense could have an off game. I did say that. And there will be chaos because no great teams. Sean, that is exactly what we talked about when you and I were talking about, you and I both mentioned that there just aren't any great teams. And right now, the best looking team in the country, the way they're playing right now, is Miami. They're
dominating Florida State right now. Yes,
the game, I think it's 14-3 at halftime, Vince, is it? But
they should have scored at the end, and they didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
The game is – I've been kind of watching it as we're doing the show. It's been far more convincing of that. And, but yeah, I mean, Texas, we talked about this before the year. Texas's offense, I did not understand all the hype that Texas offense was getting in the offseason. Like, their offensive line was average last year, and they lost 4 starters. Like, what made anyone think? We talked about their receivers. Like, they got a lot to prove to me. Everybody's going to blame Arch Manning, but I don't love what's around Arch. And then you just lose to Florida. I mean, probably the 2 most overrated quarterbacks coming into the season in a battle today. But yeah, that's not a good day, man. And that game 29-21 for Texas or for Florida, it was not that close. Like you could just watch the whole play of the game. It was 19-7 at halftime. Texas scored last. Like they ran the ball for 52 yards on 26 carries today. Did Texas's offense. Like, they're not a good offense. They are not a good offense. So I enjoyed that thoroughly, fellas. Thoroughly.
I don't know. As much as we talk about Florida, is literally that program is like right there. Because for the last 2 years, when they play really good teams, they compete and they're in the games. But it's like either it's the quarterback needs to get better, or the trenches need to just get a little bit better. Literally, they're right there. I don't know if they have the right coach to make that next step.
That's what I think the issue is, Sean. I don't know if they are able to make a coaching change and bring in the right coach. That's a roster, if you can keep it together, that you can win with. I just don't know that Billy Napier can consistently get that team ready to play. That's the concern. Because to your point, like they looked like they looked against South Florida and then just come out in this game and completely at home and then come out in this game and absolutely dominate Texas. Like but it's going to be like that, Sean. What did we talk about on Friday? We said chaos. I mean, me and Trev talked about there's chaos started last week and it's going to continue because there's way more parity in college football right now. Way more parity. And did you guys see what what Washington did in the fourth quarter against Maryland? Maryland was up like 20-0, 21-0, something like that. Let me find that game real quick. But I thought, well, Washington didn't respond well to the loss to Ohio State. They were down 20-0 in the third quarter. They were down 20-3 going into the fourth quarter. And Washington scored the last 24 points of the game. Like, wild. This is going to be a fun year, folks. So buckle up.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of this. And you better hope, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you better hope that they continue to just take care of business, because things are going to happen around them where they're going to be in the conversation. They're going to be in the conversation. So
as long as they keep doing what they're doing.
Right. 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Yep. It's going to be Iowa State got blasted today by Cincinnati. Final score was 38-30. It wasn't that close.
It wasn't that close, man. Cincinnati beat the snot out of them early.
Another great win. I'm telling you guys, we said it the last 2 years, Sean. I think you and I talked about this on Friday. Maybe me and Trevor did on Thursday. I forget what show it was. But, like, we kept saying the last 2 years, like, Tony Elliott's teams aren't very good, but they play hard for that guy. But this year they're playing hard for him, and they're winning, going on the road and beating Louisville, an undefeated Louisville team, to go to 5-1. Tony Elliott right now.
Not that close.
It was close the whole game.
It was
30-27. It went to overtime.
I was trying to remember the
Louisville kicked a field goal, and then UVA went and scored. Second game in a row, they went to overtime and won. Beat Florida State in overtime last week, and then beat Louisville in overtime this week. But right now, the leader in the clubhouse for Coach of the Year is Tony Elliott, and it's not even a discussion. It's not even a discussion right now, in my opinion. So heck of a win for him. Heck of a win for him. Back-to-back wins over Florida State and undefeated Florida State, and then undefeated Louisville. He's doing a heck of a job this week or this year. Heck of a job.
Springs ND08, thanks for the super chat. Squidward strikes again, but can we take a second to appreciate Jaden Greathouse's afro?
He's always had a great fro.
He's
got some curls in it. He's always had that. He's always had a really nice fro. Yeah. Yep.
Kenny36, thanks for the super chat. I'm throwing a flag on that. LOL.
Not sure what he's talking about.
Doesn't matter. The point still
absolutely spot on.
It doesn't matter. 24 accepted penalties. 24. And they declined some.
Accepted penalties.
Yeah,
yes.
They declined some.
And they called a couple of them off. There was a couple others that they just there really wasn't a penalty, but we want to make sure everybody's looking at us.
Correct.
For a couple minutes. So
yes, let's
talk about it. And they were probably having like a Bull Durham conversation. You know, like, what should we get in Jerry for his wedding? You know, candlesticks always make a nice, nice gift. And,
they called off like a holding penalty at one point, I think. Like, how do you call
that
off a holding penalty? Like,
I didn't see a hold. Oh, my bad. I thought I did. But thanks for overruling me. Stupid.
I don't know. Alex Udell, thank you for the super chat.
All I want to say is I wasn't in the show when Kenny threw the flag, so clearly the flag was not on me. I just want to say I wasn't home yet. The flag wasn't on me.
I'll take it. It was on me. They threw it on everybody else during the game. Might as well throw it on the analysts afterwards. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, can you throw that one back up?
Yeah,
there we go. Alex Udell, thanks for the super chat. Officiating was awful. Can you explain the illegal touching in the end zone on the punt that was down at the 1 foot line, also roughing the passer? Well, the punt was easy because it broke the plane. It's a different rule than the NFL. So the NFL, as long as you touch the ball without going into the end zone, you can throw it back. In college, there's a plane. If the ball crosses the plane, it doesn't matter where the player is.
I didn't see the replay. Did it definitely cross the plane?
Yeah,
okay.
It did.
That's a stupid rule.
It was a great play by Ben Minich, though.
It was a great play. I was confused at first, and they actually explained it very well on the broadcast, believe it or not.
That's good.
Because I didn't realize the rule was different because that is what it is in high school. If it breaks the plane,
I thought they changed it. I know when I coached it couldn't break the plane. I thought they changed it a few years ago. Apparently they did not.
Guess not.
The roughing the passer penalty.
No explanation.
There's no excuse for that. The only thing that they could have maybe said in a scenario like that is if he led down with his head, which he didn't do, or if he kind of drove him into the ground, which he also didn't do.
Right.
Like there was no continuation.
He had his hands like this. Like, and he
that was a terrible call.
So terrible bad. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Just no. I mean, you can't play football at that point in time. I mean, it's
awful. Yeah. Just awful. Tom Connor, thank you so much for the super chat. I thought the defense played well
with some fire.
With some fire. I agree.
Yep. Played with some fire. Yep. Agree, Tom. Yep. Agree with you completely, man.
Devin Holderman Deco, thank you for the super chat.
That's his IB, his name on the IB boards. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Deco is his name on the IB boards.
Rough game, but we won. Fun fact, neither Penn State or Texas have beaten a Power 4 team this season 5 games into the season.
A matter of fact, Texas and Penn State are both on 3-game losing streaks against Power 4 teams because they both lost in the playoffs last year to basically Power 4 teams because I count Notre Dame as Power 4 teams. So, yes, 3-game losing streaks to Power 4 teams.
That's wow.
Yep.
5 games in and they haven't beaten a Power 4 team. That's
well, Penn State's first Power 4 opponent was Oregon.
Correct.
And they played Villanova.
Nevada? Did they play Nevada?
Nevada. I mean, it was
3 powder puff teams.
It was an absolute joke of a schedule. I think they played like a MAC team. Yeah, it was Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova.
Yes.
So I'd like to also point out to all the Penn State fans that were running their mouths when Notre Dame started 0-2 that both of their losses were by more points than Notre Dame's 2 losses combined. I just want to
correct.
You lost to UCLA by more points than what Notre Dame lost to Miami and Texas A&M combined. I want to also point out, for those who may not remember, UCLA's head football coach got fired a couple weeks ago after they got blown out by New Mexico.
But Brian, it was a long way to travel. Okay.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said after the game?
I heard about it. I didn't hear it exactly.
You're a bum.
I can't believe he even said that. The first thing out of his mouth would be like, "There's no excuse. There's no excuse."
It'd be one thing if you lost to USC. You lost to maybe the worst Power 4 team in college football. Like, I'm actually curious about this. I'm going to look this up here real quick. Coming into this game, UCLA had scored 57 points on the season. They were averaging 14.3 points per game. They scored 10 points against Utah, 10 points against New Mexico. They scored 14 points on Northwestern last week. And they scored 23 points on UNLV, most of that late in the game. They had 57 points in 4 games. They scored 42 on Penn State's defense. Oh, that was fun to watch. That was absolutely like to watch into that game. You're just like, oh, James Franklin.
And it wasn't even a big game. Like he didn't even.
But hey, the UCLA coach has got the nice hairline too. You know what I mean? So maybe he was distracted by the hairline again. You know, maybe that was it. He goes, man, that guy's got a nice hairline. What do I got to do that, man? Like I'm sitting there, I got to shave my head every week because I got a terrible hairline. Like I wonder if I could steal their hairline. You know, Sean, if we had him a guest on our show, all he'd do is talk about your hairline. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't be serious. This is why you'll never win at Penn State. Not like that.
Correct.
Shout out to Coach.
I mean, yes, honest question.
Shout out to Coach Skipper and his staff, though. Big win.
That was
Coach
a
Skipper
huge win.
Yeah,
huge win.
Yeah.
Give me one reason why Penn State should be ranked next week.
I can't.
Honest evaluation. There's no justification for them to be ranked next week. None.
They will be, though.
They'll probably only drop 2 spots.
Right.
Because they got Nico quarterback, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will say this too, Sean. Since they fired their head coach, they lost by 3 points on the road to a Big Ten team and then beat a ranked team at home by 5. So they are definitely more competitive than they were when they fired Deshaun Foster. I still say they'd be better off with Joey Aguilar quarterback.
Wild. Randall Knorr.
Okay, by the way, Randall Knorr, that is an absolutely adorable puppy that you have in your picture. Absolutely adorable puppy that you have in your picture.
You found Brian's sweet spot right there.
Yes, you did. Be nice to my wife. Show me pictures of dogs. That's how you get to me. That's how you get on my good side.
Right. Randall Knorr, thank you so much for the super chat. I have been MIA in the chat so far this season. It has been a while since the Red Sox were relevant at the same time as Notre Dame. I've been watching and listening, but now I'm back. I've missed the IB family, and CJ is him. Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep, agree. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks for the super chat, Randall. Appreciate you very much. Tyler
if
Evans.
These are the down games for CJ Carr the rest of his career, I'll be a happy guy.
Right. 100%. 100%. And I can tell you right now, I didn't listen to his press conference, obviously, because we were doing the show. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you he probably looked like they lost. Like they're
who CJ?
Because he was not happy with his performance today. Yeah. You could see it on the sideline.
It was funny. Trev and I were sitting there pregame, and I'm thinking, like, watching him and Kenny throw the ball back and forth to each other. And I'm just thinking back to like 2022.
Oh my gosh.
Especially after Tyler got hurt. And I'm like, it's a little different ball game now, boys. And you got Blake Hebert over here chucking it around. I'm like, it's a little different ball game, boys. I was watching these kids throw the ball. Trevor and I were watching. There was a point where they were throwing post routes, and they threw like 6 straight post routes, and everyone was like, dude, dude, dude. They would just CJ throw one and Kenny throw one, CJ throw one, and just like, dude, just like, you're like, okay, all right, here we go. It's gonna be fun.
And it looks different from the 9th floor too, because it's just like, I mean, it's just, it's just different. All right, Tyler Evans, thanks for the super chat. Let's congratulate UCLA, first win of the season. And how is Marcus Freeman overrated? Penn State fans, go Notre Dame.
Well, see, here's the logic, because the win over Penn State doesn't mean anything because they lost the next game to Ohio State. Literally the explanation that every Penn State fan has said.
Unbelievable.
That it doesn't mean anything that you beat Penn State because the next week you lost to Ohio State. That's literally what they've said.
Don't they have Ohio State this year on their schedule?
Yes.
Okay,
that's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a lot of fun. Yes.
Okay. Just checking.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun watching them be a 4-loss football team this year.
It's gonna be so much fun. So much fun.
Yep.
All right, Trevor Rocket, thanks for the Canadian super chat. Appreciate you very much. Vince, glad you are back. Great to see the 3 amigos together again. Only thing I gotta say after watching that game is glad the lads got the W, and KVA should never come off the field. He's an absolute stud.
He is an absolute stud, but he still should come off the field. A, it's a great, deep, talented linebacker room. And B, I want Kingston in the fourth quarter fresh, coming off the edge, getting after guys. Like that's the whole thing. It's not just about like, oh, you have to find ways to get those guys in the field. I want these guys fresh. I want them fresh in the postseason. Hopefully Notre Dame's going to play 16 games this year again. And you want, and that's a concern I have for the receiving corps, that they're playing it like Malachi and Faison are playing a ton of snaps for a team that runs a lot of deep routes, but like keeping those linebackers fresh is very important, because it's not just about this game. It's about the long haul. And Jaden Osbury had 8, tied Kingston for the team lead in tackles today with 8. Jalen Sneed had some game-changing plays today. One of them got negated. Unfortunately, it's on a bad call by the officials, but
Matt Framo
almost had one.
Yeah. I mean, they all made plays. All of those guys can make play. And Bowen had some nice plays today. Yeah.
When you're taking the guys like Drake Bowen and Kingston off the field, you want to make sure that the guys that are on there are making plays, and that's absolutely what this group is doing.
Correct.
It's a very talented linebacker room, but yes, he is an absolute stud, and he just gets better every week.
I've been saying
people forget he's a true sophomore. I mean, we kind of forget that sometimes.
Right. We've been saying it. I've been saying it since summertime. I know you guys have probably said it as well, but KVA and Bowen need to be on the field at the same time. Like,
I was so glad to see a lot more of that today. It just seemed like a lot more of them on the field today.
Yeah. Like, that's what we need more of, if that's what we're asking for.
Yep.
Relly Q, thank you for the super chat. The wide receiver room has been an area we needed growth for a few years now. Current leading wide receiver is a transfer. Pass game looks great right now. Thoughts on the position group / coach? Is recent success more car-related or wide receiver room growth?
Sean, I'll let you comment on this, because you talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday, the middle part. So I'll let you answer this first.
I think it goes hand in hand, right? I think we can't just say CJ Carr has elevated the passing game without admitting the addition of Malachi Fields and how it gives him a level of comfort to know that he has a true number one guy as a first-time starter. Like, it's a lot of veterans that don't even have that, right? And then it puts Jordan Faison in his right spot where he should be. And I said the Malachi Fields addition was going to make things easier for Jaden Greathouse and Jordan Faison. I was like, it's going to open things up for them. So I think it's a marriage. But I mean, we've been saying for 2 years that the passing game was going to take off once one of these youngsters got the opportunity to be at the helm of the offense. So that's not a surprise. But I think this staff did a tremendous job kind of elevating through the transfer portal and recognizing we need to go out and give our guys, a number one guy, offensively. And I think Mike Brown, the one thing you could say is the group is definitely being coached better than it had been before he got here. They're being coached better. You could just go to the run game in the way they block consistently. They're being coached better. I think Jordan Faison, you want to look at development? Jordan Faison was a walk-on. So, that's pretty good development. Jaden Greathouse.
Well, in the counter to that, Sean, would be, well, he didn't play receiver in high school. That's partly what, and he was a great looker. But that actually adds to the point is he didn't even play wide receiver in high school. He's just a really athletic kid. Didn't even play receiver in high school. Yeah. Another thing too, Sean, we've had one drop pass so far in 5 games. One drop pass.
Which is totally different.
It was by Faison against, I think, it was an A&M. I think first throw of the game against A&M. Yeah. One drop in 5 games. That's definitely something different.
Yeah. So for me, it is there are contributions to the elevation of the pass game from everywhere. Now, if you want to sit here and say, well, 50% belongs to this individual, 40% belongs to the coaching, and the rest belongs to the actual wide receivers, that's up for debate. But I think it's really been the perfect marriage. And the second year of everyone being in Mike Denbrock's offense collectively is also part of that equation, So it all works together.
Agree, Sean. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, there's just one little piece I wanted to add in here. The Williams kid, who's a true sophomore, a redshirt freshman, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, he's a bust," he's all these different things, and he's poised to step into a starting role next year. Depending on how things go with the transfer portal and all of those things. But he plays Malachi Fields' position, correct? And I believe he's the there's Micah Gilbert plays outside. He's probably third right now. He's going to play next year, right? Let's not write him off.
As long as he keeps his head on straight.
Yeah, let's not write him off yet. Like,
because he's playing about as much as Miles Boykin played in his second year in college.
I'm not ready to say that a true sophomore is a bust. Talk to me in a year. Let's see where we're at. But let's give the kid a little. Let's pump the brakes just a little. There was a discussion in the chat about an hour and a half ago.
I saw that.
I was like, come on, guys, give the kid a chance.
It was good to see Miles back on campus today too.
Who?
Oh, nice.
Miles was on campus today.
Yeah, he was on campus today. Yeah.
I want to point out too, like, look, Sean, I think your take is correct that it's all of it. Why is the receiver room look better? Is it talent? Yes. Is it coaching? Yes. Is it CJ Carr? Yes.
Yes.
It's all of it.
Yep.
And I will continue to express, I have an issue with the way that he's handled the slot rotation. That's one thing, but you can't watch this unit play the game and not come away impressed with the way they play the game. There's a couple things I'd like to see Coach Brown get more out of. I think there's some inconsistent get-offs. And as I've said, too many guys not named Jaden Greathouse don't do a good job playing the ball in the air. That's got to get better, especially for Will Pauling. But at the end of the day, you can't watch this unit play and not be like a noticeable difference in performance. And it's not just the transfers. It's Jaden Greathouse, Jordan Faison. And let's not forget that Will Pauling is in his 5th year of college football. He's been coached by Mike Brown 4 of his 5 years of college football. He may be new to Notre Dame. He's not new to Mike Brown. Mike Brown developed him freshman, sophomore, junior seasons of college. He spent 1 year last year not playing for Mike Brown. So I want to point that out as well. So, yes, is he perfect? No coach is. But he has absolutely elevated the technical precision of this unit. And when you then give him legit big-time talent, this is what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's all of it. Yeah. And Malachi Fields is a dude. It's funny, I was watching Ohio State play Washington, and I'm like, I hope Ohio State keeps not throwing the ball. And somebody from Notre Dame can kind of make a little phone call to Jeremiah Smith, be like, hey, man, you want to come catch balls from Jeremiah Love or CJ Carr for a year? Just saying. That'd be nice. A guy can dream.
Kevin Fetters, thanks for the super chat. I don't want to get my hopes up, but this team is going to be harder to beat if this is an off game for the offense. Completely agree. Completely agree. Yes.
Unless they 100%. Get this officiating crew rest of the year, then it might be tougher if they play a team with a little bit better offense.
Yeah. Time for Pete to earn his money on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not joking. I'm dead serious when I say, if Pete Bavak was the AD, I hope he is and think he is, there needs to be a conversation about that crew from the ACC never, ever officiating another Notre Dame game, whether it's at our place or anywhere else.
Anywhere. Get them out.
Yeah.
Craig Sebring, thanks for the super chat. Those 2 roughing the passer calls against us were horrible.
100%, Craig.
Could not agree more.
100%.
Ace 45 or 454 ND. Thank you very much for the super chat. I love the kid. I want no BS assessment of Christian Gray.
Played Ace, with all due respect, every assessment we give is a no BS assessment. That's who we are. So if we tell you that we think a kid's playing well, we think the kid's playing well. That's just no BS.
Correct.
Like, that's not what we do. This isn't who that show is. We don't push for a certain quarterback to play because we like him or he gives us intel or his dad talks to us, right? I mean, we're going to tell you exactly how we feel, and we're going to always be honest with you. So when we tell you that we thought Christian Gray played pretty well today outside of one snap, where the whole defensive backfield wasn't lined up, then that's what we believe. And if we don't think he played well, we'll tell you, which is exactly what we said when they played Miami and Texas A&M. So I love the kid too, but I still was critical of him after Miami. I was still critical of him after Texas A&M. We thought he played a lot better last week, and he played very well this week. So that's our no BS assessment. Anybody disagree with that? I thought the cornerbacks were outstanding today.
Yep. Played very well. Very, very well. He almost had a pick six. So he played well.
Yeah.
And it was almost like the injury was a blessing in disguise, because being able to play in limited space for 2 weeks allowed him to regain his confidence to then again be moved back to the field when Leonard Moore came back. And like you said, he was much better in space today. Much better in space. You saw it last week, like anticipation and drove on the pass breakup, and some other things that he was able to do. So I just like the fact that he tackled today. Like, all right. I'm like, so you're starting to feel better health-wise as well? Like, okay, because we haven't really seen him reach for his shoulder in a couple of games. So,
yep. And here's the last one, fellas.
All right. Fighting Irish 595. Thank you so much for the super chat. Put Price on the field for Wildcat sets instead of CJ. Think this opens up a lot of possibilities in short yardage. I could get on board with that, to be honest with you. You put those two in the backfield. It's better than having CJ Carr as your lead
I'd even
block.
put Face on in the backfield and let him run the read zone and
quarterback.
Where he's either going to give it or pull. Oh, yeah, exactly. He played quarterback in high school.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, put Malachi Fields back there. He played quarterback in high school too. Put
so
anybody but CJ Carr back there. Like,
so many other options.
You don't need to get that cute at the 1 yard line. You don't.
Correct.
You don't need to get that cute at the 1 yard line. Like if you want to run that on 3rd and 1 at the 50 when they have to be in more of a true defensive, it made no sense. And look, Mike Denbrock called a good game. He called a brilliant game last week, and he said we had some things we didn't love in the Miami game, but the last 4 games he's called very well. Just sometimes coaches we all have done it. I've done it. Every coach has done it. Sometimes you're just like, outthink yourself a little bit. I think Sean, that's what you said. They got a little too cute. Just outthinking themselves a little bit. That's what that was. Just freaking hand the ball off to Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price.
You don't need to put CJ Carr in motion, stop.
Right. That little like Newt Rockney shift, snap it to Jeremiah and let somebody else lead block for him. I don't want CJ Carr blocking anybody.
Gosh, no.
It's just like it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Stay away from it, please.
Agree. So that'll do it, guys.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the post-game show. Again, the Notre Dame gets their 3rd victory of the season, 28-7 over Boise State. They are now 3-2, 1 game over 500, and they're on a roll. And they get NC State, I believe, coming up next, which will be a Peacock game. So get the complaining out now. You got a week's worth to get ready for it, get used to it. It's going to be a Peacock game next week. But Notre Dame will get back into the lab and figure out what they did wrong and what they did right and get back after it. And so 28-7, Notre Dame wins. And we will have all kinds of content for you moving forward. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell. Jump on the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. We will have upon further review at some point tomorrow. We'll have the audio version posted, most likely tomorrow. And then the video version will also get posted at some point, but only on the message board. That is for our premium subscribers only. So you want to make sure you get on the board and check that out, because there's going to be some good stuff over there. There has been good stuff, and there will continue to be good stuff. And then, of course, the conversation is just really good too. So you definitely want to jump over there on the boards. And again, the way you can help us without spending a dime is just hit that like button and the subscribe button. That helps us out more than you know, whether it is on the YouTube channel, whether it is the podcast version, whatever the case may be. That helps us out tremendously and doesn't cost you a dime. And we really appreciate all the love and the support. And looking forward to jumping right back into this thing. Again, Notre Dame 3-2, 1 game over 500 for the first time this season, and they are rolling. So for Brian and Sean, I am Vince, and we will talk to you next time on the Irish Breakdown Podcast presented by FanDuel.